A time of hollowness descends and chokes out inhibitions, and then we're preying on the night and slip between the buildings. And tiny creatures tend to flee before a presence very chilling, and those unmentionable desires making themselves known. Fierce strides at the witching hour, red lights at the witching hour. If it sees at the witching hour, then it feeds at the witching hour. And then we fall to hands and knees and howl the names of strangers. Cat's eyes gleam here and there, climbing foggy fire escapes. And trying to forget a love too far away, those unmentionable desires asking to be shown. Running mad at the witching hour, hell rides at the witching hour, birds low at the witching hour, black smoke at the witching hour. Gonna have to do it, can't stop it, gotta do it. What's wrong with the face your mama gave to you? Why you gotta make a painting it takes so long to do? When it's time to wake up in the morning, takes a long time for icing that cake. When it's time to wake up in the morning, building up a face to last you all day. When it's time, when it's time to wake up in the morning, building up a face to last you all day. When it's time to wake up in the morning, takes a long time for icing that cake. When it's time, when it's time, wake up, put on a layer of makeup, polishing the upper deck, a totem pole comes out your neck. Wake up, put on a layer of makeup, your pillowcase has a face that you wore the day before. What's wrong with the face that your mama gave to you? You look like that moon from a trip to the moon. When it's time to wake up in the morning, takes a long time for icing that cake. When it's time to building up a face to last you all day. A stranger of mine, a death at third base, number of winners to understand's the best defense. It was said that do not meddle with my input every day. And again before the closing feels expensive anyway. Hello doctor, I'm not crazy yet. Come back in an hour, I'll be nuts by then. Locked on the low, what have I done? Sweet September, look I'm gone. Can't stay in one place, I flow on to the next space. Sayonara, say goodbye to this face. What's my message? Don't wanna be hazy. Gotta move on, goodbye gravy. Flow on, gelatin rivers, sneak away. Take a time out, I was a time bomb. Let the knot slip in my system. 10-4, I'm on the pass. Don't let the door slam on my ass. Rearview mirror, who's that behind me? Fill in the blank if it makes you happy. Absence just might save me. Fresh air, goodbye gravy. Last sludge that held me fast, I couldn't budge. Escaped it last time, clean and fresh and grand. Holding this note in my hand, in my hand. Wow. Ah. 2, 3. I'll have 2 more just like the ones I had before. I'll have 3 more when I'm done those, then I'll have 2 more. Put it on my tab. I'll grab me another for grabbing the cab. The lady at the desk knows me. The lady at the desk knows me. You can trust me to pay you back never. Bartender, oh, bartender. Bartender, bartender. Put a glass in front of me and I will taste it. Call me a cab 'cause I don't think I'm gonna make it. So light on my feet when I got just a few in me. But I turn into rubber and I'm rubber at the knees. When one too many in the afternoon. When one too many in the afternoon. Da 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 da. My ass is on the stool and my feet feel gone. We know one another and we know my limits. When one too many in the afternoon.
Okay. Yeah, alright. We're streaming again. We're back. It's been a month or something. Some amount of time. Probably over 30 days. And we're back. We're doing the call-in show. If you've never heard the call-in show before, it's like this. I talk here for just a little bit, just a tiny little bit, and then I'll put the number to call in on the screen, and you can call in and talk about the topic of the day. What's the topic? It's right here. Cults! We're talking about cults. How have we never done this before? Somebody suggested this on the Patreon Discord server, and I was like, duh. No, duh, you fucking dumbass. You never did cults before? Everyone loves talking about cults. Me too. Me too. I'm part of that. I'm part of everyone. I don't want to spoil all the cults, so I'm not going to talk for very long here. I want you to call in and tell me about your favorite cult. Maybe you got a secret one. Maybe you got your own cult. Maybe you got a cult no one's ever heard of because it's just you and your mom and your dad. Our family's cults? Yes. Yes. Cool take right off the rip. I don't even, yeah. Who's not a cult? Cult? What's a cult? What is a cult? Who is a cult? Where is a cult? Can they be online? Can the internet? Do you have to be in the same place to be a cult? Like, that's the image you generally think of. It's like some sort of communal living situation, right? They have a farm or something, and it's really dirty. It's really like there's a lot of, it's because it's like a lot of dirty, stinking hippies, obviously. But can a cult just be the internet? On the internet? On Zoom? You just have weekly meetups? I guess it had to be daily, maybe? I don't know. What's the criteria? I watched a pretty okay. It wasn't a great documentary series. It wasn't very well done, but it was about this group called Twin Flames, which I always thought Twin Flames. I thought that was something. I thought it was like an astrological thing. Maybe I was just dead wrong about that, but that's what I thought. I thought it was some sort of like your twin flame is some sort of astrologically condoned mate. But there's this group apparently on the internet called Twin Flames Universe or something. I forget the exact name. And it was led by these two freaking wacko people, a husband and wife. And they had people pay to take their online class over Zoom, and it was like, I don't remember, it was like $400 a month or something. It was a lot of money. It was more than I have paid in rent in a while. And you would talk to these people over Zoom, and they would basically give you relationship advice. And the relationship advice was basically like, if you said to them that you liked someone, you had a crush, they would say that's your twin flame, that's your like divine, it's just another name for soulmate, really, but it sounds cooler, it sounds badass. It doesn't really sound badass, it sounds gay, as hell. Twin flame, it sounds like emo, but they would say you have to stop at nothing to get them, to ensnare them, to capture them, and make them your mate. But it was normally women, so it's like it wasn't scary, really. It wasn't that scary. It wasn't like they were telling dudes to do that to chicks. They were telling chicks to do that to dudes. Then there's a whole other weird dimension of it, where it's like they were running out of steam at the end, and they needed to like the twin flame. The people weren't able to get their partners, so they were like, they started matchmaking. They were like, hey, Jesse, you're wrong about who your twin flame was. We were just joking before. Your twin flame is actually this guy who's also in our class right now. And sometimes the guy would be a girl, and but then they would be like, but really it's a guy inside of a girl. They've got a divine masculine soul. And so you guys can still have heterosexual relations. I don't know, it's confusing. Anyway, it was like a cult. People were really into it. And they were paying money the whole time. Is that how cults work? Like, you gotta pay? Do you have to pay? Is that part of the rules? What are the rules of what a cult is? Maybe someone could call in and tell me what that is. Anyway, that was something. And then I don't know anything about this. There was that Nixium cult. I had the chance to buy Rainier beer today, but it was in too big a box. But Keith Rainier is the guy who owns or operates this Nexium cult. It was like some sort of self-help cult, and it was founded and still continues to operate just 10 minutes from my hometown. They're in Clifton Park, New York. They're just freaking got some location. You can have a cult anywhere. It's just like the upstate suburbs, and they're like freaking branding people, and they're all having sex with Keith Rainier. He's in jail now, I guess. I don't know. I don't know actually know much about this cult. Maybe someone could tell me about that, about Nexium. I know there was some media about that. And then, there's like a billion cults. I'm not going to go through them all, but obviously one of the big ones is Scientology. That's a big one. We've seen a bunch of documentaries on Scientology. That's a fun one. We all know the basic deets of that. When I lived in Los Angeles, briefly, I went to the big blue building, the big blue Hubbard house, where they give you they have tons of DVDs. They got stacks and stacks of free DVDs. You can take as many as you like. I took like 10. There's like videos playing all over the place. As soon as you walk in, they want to get your name and address and phone number. So obviously just put down some random letters and numbers for that. We were just watching like the propaganda on the TV. It was all about L. Ron Hubbard and how he was like the coolest dude who solved all the problems in the world on a micro level, and now he's trying to create this organization to save the world from itself, obviously. It was cool. I touched the tubes. I touched the very tubes of Scientology. A lady came up to me in a suit, in a smart business suit, and she asked if I wanted to touch the tubes. And I said, of course. My hands are already extended outwards. She just placed them in my hands. She didn't even have to ask. And I got the e-meter thing, and she asked me just I don't remember. She just asked like my name or something. And it was like, woo, woo. And it was like, that's electricity. That's telling me something about your answer. And if you want to know more, we could take a full personality test with these tubes. You just have to come to the back room. It's only take 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. And I was out at that point. I didn't want to go too deep. Because maybe they could have just got me. I don't know. What do they know that I don't? Maybe I'm too weak to get out. I don't know. I didn't find out. So I just took my free DVDs and I left. Okay, we're going to be doing calls now. The call-in number, I'm going to put it on screen. Get 518-288-7938. You can call in. Talk to me about cults. Your idea of cults. What are the rules of cults? Cults you know of. Any information you got? Maybe you got a local cult. Maybe there's something that others wouldn't consider a cult, but you know it is a cult. Call and talk to me about it. 518-288-7938. All the music from this stream is from Bold Saber, a.k.a. Drew Langlois, a.k.a. the guy who does the animations on this channel that are the most popular of all the animations. Shoobity Bop. That's a Nice Grill. Something terribly offensive. Don't ever look at me. Those are all Drew Langlois. He's got his own YouTube channel, and he's got a music thing called Bold Saber. And you can find a link to that music in the description of this video. Okay, we got a call.
Call from
Ron.
Hello, Ron?
Hello.
How's it going, bro?
It's Rowan, by the way.
Oh, Rowan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I saw the cult thing, and I was like, that seems pretty interesting. I live in Texas, so, I mean, it's Texas. There's going to be a lot of people who are crazy about religion.
Mm-hmm.
But,
that famous Waco cult, the Branch Davidians.
Yeah, I heard about that. I don't live anywhere near Waco, so
Okay.
People aren't too scarred where I'm around, but I have, plenty of crazy fanatics where I'm at. What are your opinions on Catholicism? I'm not saying it's a cult.
I was raised Catholic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my opinions on it generally, I don't know. I don't really know what the specifics are about Catholicism, even though I was raised in it. I remember when I was a little boy, people on the schoolyard were talking about religions for some reason, and they said, like, they told me things about Catholicism that I didn't know. They're like, "You're a Catholic. That means that you pray to Mary and not God, because you're weird." And I don't even know what that. I don't know what that means.
Well, I mean, they're schoolyard children, but yeah, that's why a lot of people say Catholicism is a cult, because with Catholicism, I've heard you're supposed to pray to the saints.
Oh yeah.
Which is praying to real people, and which is worshiping real people, which is definition of a cult and all. But I don't know. I wouldn't be so harsh to say that. I mean, I know Catholics. I live in Texas, so they don't act very cultish. Say that. It doesn't seem to be that bad. I don't like the Pope, but I mean, who does?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird with any religion. There's it seems like there's a lot of rules that only a small number of people know, really. But you could say the same thing for Scientology. You know, it's like, as outsiders, we know about Lord Xenu and like the upper level stuff because we've heard about it from people who've gotten out, and we see how ridiculous it is. But the lower level members don't even know what that shit is.
Yeah, because it's all like a controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like Utah.
Yeah, Utah. That's where all the Mormons are, right?
Yeah, you know, it seeps into Texas too. I know a ton of Mormons. I mean, I wouldn't. What I think about is that if you have a group of people and you all follow this law of the Bible, right? And you have this one guy who's in charge of it all, be it L. Ron Hubbard, or I mean, that Scientology doesn't follow the Bible, but be it the Pope or Joseph Smith. Yeah, but that person's like exempt from it. I think that doesn't make you a cult, but it gets real close. It's definitely unhealthy. I'm very interested in Mormonism. I got a lot of Mormon friends. I think it's really interesting that because like here's what I think. I'm a religious person, so according to Joseph Smith, when they headed down to Illinois at first before they went to Utah, because that's where God told Joseph Smith to go, and
it's a beautiful
they headed
place.
down to Illinois. Yeah, and
Utah looks a lot
Illinois.
better than Illinois, I think.
Yeah, because that's where according to Joseph Smith, God told him that's where the Garden of Eden was, which
yeah,
of course Illinois. But they got there, and all the locals were like, "You guys better get out of here, because we don't like you, and we don't like Mormons, and we're not gonna let you settle here because Joseph Smith had this plan to build a commune in the spot of the Garden of Eden, and they didn't want them to build a commune there for obvious reasons. So they moved from Illinois. They get seated, and they moved from Illinois, and they went to Missouri, and the same thing happened, but this time, according to Joseph Smith, God came down, or he sent an angel, and the angel said, "Listen, man, this is the real spot of Garden of Eden, and you're going to have to fight for it." So that actually sparked a war.
Oh no!
In the mid 1800s, called the Mormon War, adequately named, and funnily enough, it ended on the Mormon side because Abraham Lincoln, who was the president at the time, was like, "Well, you guys stop this fighting. Let's just give them a plot of land." So they did give them a plot of land, and Joseph Smith did build Zion, because back in the 1800s, if you didn't really like America, you could just move out west. So it was basically communism, and I think that's really interesting because if God came down, he told me, "Go kill this guy," right? I would do it, obviously, but and I know it's a controversial thing, but I think the main problem with that is that that's fine and all. I'm not going to say that like that's impossible to happen, but you can't. God's not going to come down to somebody else and tell them to tell me to kill someone, because I can't trust other people.
Oh, yeah.
And I certainly can't trust Joseph Smith.
He would just go direct to you.
Yeah, it's like if he really wanted them to do that, why wouldn't he just tell them all, right?
Do people believe it's just like he's such a holy guy? He's the powerful vector from God. He's going to hear the messages from God that you can't hear because you're not as holy as him.
Yeah, it's like he's a catalyst of God. He's the pipeline. Because God came down and said the Garden of Eden's in Independence, Missouri. So they tried to go to Independence, Missouri, but they ended up settling in Utah. But after that, God was like, the end of the world, Joseph, it's coming. 1848. 1848 is the end of the world. And that's why it's called the Latter-day Saints movement, because it's after the day of God, and it's a preparation for the apocalypse. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing of Mormonism. It's a preparation for the apocalypse.
Oh.
And 1848 came, and it went. And so what's most interesting to me is, how is it still alive if it's after 1848? I think with a lot of Mormons, half of them believe that the rapture has already come or is in the process of coming, because the Bible's not, super specific on the rapture, so it's very up for interpretation.
Well, I would say with the Mormons, all the Mormons I've known in my life have been, successful people. So there's got to be, with the way they're raised in the community, it's a very strong community. Could be cultish, but like that sort of thing of like they are raised and trained to be successful members of society. So that's probably why it's still around. Is like they aren't all dying out. They aren't crackheads and heroin junkies and stuff. They're like people who get jobs and live happy lives.
Yeah, that's because, I'll tell you about that. Because the main doctrine there is that you go to school first and then you have kids. Because having kids is what kills like all the careers, right?
But they have so many kids, the Mormons.
They have a bunch of kids, and they have kids old because they go to college first.
I see.
They have kids when they're like 30. And
that makes sense.
So they're really successful and they're really shrewd. And that's something, I got a handful of Mormons. They're really shrewd people. But all of the Mormon people I know, I'll ask them a question about it, and they'll either get really defensive about it, or they'll be like, well, that's just what the people around me have told. And if you're saying that the leader of my church is a liar, I'm like, I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you that you should investigate your own sin. But it's a lost cause. It's just really interesting to me. The whole thing is really interesting.
Well, I hope we get some Mormon callers on the show, because I feel like there's a significant Mormon listenership of the Minute Hour. For some reason, I feel it. I knew a lot of Mormons growing up, and I liked them. They liked me. I feel like it's gonna work out. We're gonna get a Mormon calling in today. I'm sure of it. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, and I don't hate Mormonism by any means. I just think it's really interesting.
All right, well, hey, Rowan, thank you for calling in today.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, have a great day.
Thanks for having me. I just want to say I love your albums, man. I love them.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Have a good day.
Right. You too.
Call from
Tig old bitty.
Tig old bitty.
What's up there, man?
How you doing? I'm doing good. We're talking cults today. What do you got to say about cults?
Oh, bro, I've got all kinds to say about some cults, man.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. Let's start off with I'd say we used to be in a cult when I was a young fella.
Oh?
Yeah. One of them. It was one of them prosperity. I gotta take my headphones off here. I'm getting a little feedback, but it's one of them prosperity preaching cults. You ever heard of them Kenneth Copeland kind of fella?
Yeah, vaguely, but explain to our listeners.
So they're like, you know how they say like, any good lie is based in some truth, and I think that personally, not to get all into all that stuff, but I think there's some truth in the old Bible, the old Christianity. But what they do is they like base their whole cult around that, and they use different things out of the Bible, and they use various passages to like kind of mold it around what's best for them and make it to where pretty much they suck all your money out of you and tell you if you hear anybody say anything different than, you know, they're the end all be all of religion and what you should be doing, then, you know, they'll like outcast you and you lose all your friends and all the people you've been going with.
When I hear about the prosperity cult thing, the Christian prosperity thing, usually I'm thinking like the televangelists, like the giant mega church type people. Do they have that in small local form too?
Yeah. So like I'm from like rural Alabama, not really like rural, but kind of out there, right? So we had like they have like sects that they're attached to them, but they're not quite them. So like we had our own pastor, and he was over our church, and he was over his little flock, you know, 'cause he thought he was a shepherd. But like you'd go to like conferences with the big ones, like, yeah, kind of like the televangelists. They're not like directly tied to the big ones, like what's that one fella? What's
Joel
that?
Osteen?
The Super Bowl. Yeah, that fella. They're like kind of, you know, they're not attached to him, but like Kenneth Copeland's just as big. He's, you know, I think if you ever watched any, I think Leon Lush did a video on him about like the Demons on Tubes guy. That was the dude. But they were like attached to him, and it got crazy, bro. Like I was probably like 6 all the way up. We got out of it when I was probably like 12 or 13, and my parents were kind of like, this is craziness. Like they kind of started seeing it, and people were kind of telling them, you know, hey, that's not. They didn't do anything crazy. That's the worst part is they didn't go out overboard. Like they weren't like, hey, drink the Kool-Aid, man. You gotta take the sips.
Right.
They're more of like a undertone, you know, like, oh, hey, if you keep giving us some of your money for some tithes, like God will do good stuff for you, you know.
So
and
it's
kind of easy to slip in.
Was there like, you know, when I think of cultish type things, it's like they've got a real, you're hanging around them all the time. They got a lot of events, so they got a lot of things going on that's like keeps you in the circle and makes it sort of like how you're saying earlier, you know, you go away, you lose all your friends and stuff. So was that what the case? Were you getting stuff for your money? Was it like there's like all these like church and classes and like we're hanging out all the time, or was it really just like a once a week church thing and also they want to get all your money?
No. They want all your time, all your money, all your devotion. Like that's all they wanted. Like so, like
They wanna hang out all the
we'd have
time.
like Wednesday. Oh yeah. Well, you can't control somebody if you don't have complete, you know, reign over them. You got to keep them nearby, or somebody might talk them out of it, you know.
Right.
But it wasn't like a compound type deal. But it was like, you know, down in the South we have like Wednesday night church, and then we have like Sunday church. It's fairly normal.
Okay.
But like they would do that, and then like Christmas, you'd stay over there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like Halloween was like super big no. Like they were way more. It was crazy. That was the crazy part of all of it was like they got super in detail with like you can't watch any of these things or do any of these things because that like takes power away from God. I couldn't watch the Power Rangers because I took power away from God. I couldn't watch the Smurfs, bro. Couldn't watch the Smurfs. He had a magician in there. He was practicing magic, and that took power away from God. Yeah, oh yeah, and of course, you know, if that's the case, no Harry Potter, no Lord of the Rings, none of that good stuff. I had a real good binge after we got out and really got into it. But we got out because we realized we watched all the money we've been given. You know, my parents went back through and noticed they'd given like way too much money for them to build a new church because we were in like a little strip mall center, you know. And like they started talking to people and they were like, you know, how much have you given? You know, they're supposed to be like pouring the concrete for like 3 years now, and like it's kind of getting a little fishy. And you know, he says he'd get a plot and this and that, but you know, like 3 or 4 years go by, and I remember, you know, I'm really young, but I can kind of remember bits and pieces of it. And you know, my parents are pretty sore about it, so they talk about it pretty often. But we found out because we're waiting on this church to be built that we've been donating for. Like they pull out like the board and everything too, and have like a little thermometer. You know how you do fundraisers and they get the thermometer and they're like, "Oh, you got donated this much money." Well, the thermometer wasn't going up, bro. Well, I guess the heat was never rising. It wasn't boiling up in this puppy. So like we kind of my parents they're no dummies. They were in a volatile time in their life. They just had kids. They were trying to do right, People long for religion, and that's how they get people. Is they pull you in when you're real volatile and really looking for some help, But
well, I could see also if you're just having kids, like you could be really looking for like community.
Community, yeah. That's the thing about it too. That I think, just in religion in general, that's where it kind of holds its place. It's all of them kind of rally around community, and it's real easy to infiltrate that and really bend it around to helping you out. So long story short, dude was building a mansion in the fanciest part of town and had like a little guardhouse out in front of it. Oh yeah. He went full prosperity preacher. He made the whole way, bro.
God
and
damn.
We were like, my parents were like kind of stood up and were like, hey, what's going on here? Like my dad, he was their singer on the praise and worship team. He has an awesome voice, so he was real. They were real prominent. My mom's, she's kind of really came from nothing, had been beat by her first husband her whole life, and really kind of messed her up. And they were both coming in. They took advantage of them. But long story short, yeah, they saw that and were like, yeah, no, this is your only job, and where's the money at, man? Where's the money? Where's the money, Lebowski?
God damn, that's horrible. Yeah, and whenever those sorts of people do that, they could just claim that's part of the prosperity gospel. Like you want to see the pastor or whatever be prospering.
Oh yeah, they love that. It's crazy it's crazy how you fall for it, even as normal people. You're like, who falls for this garbage? But hey, I consider our family to be we're business owners in the area. I've taken after the business and stuff. It's still crazy that to look back and go, dang, y'all got pulled in, man. You got pulled in. But I mean, even on cults there though, what do you think about the cult of Hollywood? What do you think about all that? I know you said something about Nexium. What are you talking about, like that Epstein cult type stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean there's plenty to get into there. I mean I don't know how deep I want to get into it, because you can really go crazy like with the Hollywood shit. Like we could start just going right into the child sacrifice stuff, just right off the rip.
Oh yeah.
We'll get into. I gotta drink more, and then we'll get into that more.
Okay, cool.
All right. But hey, man, it was great talking to you. Thank you. Tig old biddies.
I appreciate it. Have a good one, man. Thanks for all your stuff. Put some stuff on Patreon. I signed up this month, bro.
Okay, I will do. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya.
Okay, yeah, you can still call in. Number is 518-288-7938. We're talking cults. We'll get into the Hollywood. We'll get into the Hollywood stuff. That's second hour material, I think. Who's this?
Call from
Johnny.
Johnny.
Hey, Mr. Minute Hour, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So you know how you wanted a Mormon on the show?
Do I got one?
Got an ex-Mormon.
All right. Hell yeah. I knew you guys were out there.
Oh yeah, we're always out there.
All right. So when did you become an ex?
Towards the end of high school.
Mm-hmm. Was there some sort of something coming up that you had to get out like right before that happened, or is it something that was just culminating for a while?
Well, it just kind of sucked.
And
it was it's supposed to make you, the whole thing about Mormonism is like any religion, it's supposed to make you happier. It was not doing that. All its requirements were a huge drag. And so I just kind of kicked it. My life got better, and yeah, never really looked back. But the thing was, a mission was coming up, so that was a pressure point.
You're right. So what were some of the requirements before that were bumming you out?
Well, I mean, church every Sunday is not particularly fun, but that's not the worst. But it's just really strict living, a lot of high expectations, a whole lot of rules telling you what to do. And if you're not wired that way, it's a real drag.
There's no caffeine. That's one of them, right?
Yeah. I could not have caffeine. at all.
Right.
I actually come from this is a whole rabbit hole, but a lot of Mormon families have been in Utah since the beginning, and I actually come from the lineage of the guy who started the trend of not drinking caffeine.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he wrote an article about how, like, you can't drink Coca-Cola, it's a sin.
Wow. What were some of the other, like, responsibilities that you had as a child, like, in Mormonism?
Well, there's going to church all the time. You just got to behave. You got to be a good boy. When you started getting into the teenage years, they actually start giving you responsibilities. So I always participated in kind of the ritual in church where you kind of, I don't know what it's similar to something they got in Catholicism, but you hand out the bread and the water, and it's supposed to be, body and the blood of Christ, that sort of thing. Like
the altar boy type job.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Yeah, there's a program like that. But, the longer I've been out, you encounter stuff and you realize, there's a lot of claims of Mormonism that are just directly counter to reality. That nailed my choice to leave in further and further.
Like, what might be a specific one?
They claim that Native Americans are Israelites.
Oh.
Yeah. And genetically that doesn't really work. And they have there's a whole book of scripture that Joseph Smith,
are they Israelites in a good way or a bad way?
So it's pretty fucked up and pretty racist. Yeah, it's the whole Book of Mormon story is these Israelites went over to North America and founded it. And good guys stayed white, even though, Israelites were never really white to begin with. The bad guys were cursed with dark skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not cool.
It's a classic curse.
Yeah. Kind of like the same people think about the curse of Cain and whatnot.
So what would be like the punishment that you would expect for not being a very, very good boy?
So it's kind of an honor system, but you're expected that if you screw up, if you make any mistakes, you go into the bishop, which is the local leader, and you do what's essentially a confessional, but you do it face to face, directly to this guy. Mm-hmm. And you have to go in and do these because you have periodic interviews. They ask you a lot of questions, including about like your sex life. So they're asking kids about their sex life.
All right.
Yeah, it's a little creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's up to you to tell the truth. If say you did tell the truth about something bad that you did, like what are they just like, all right, you gotta just like sit in a dark room for a bit here and think about this. Like what did they tell you to do?
Well, it's a lot of prayer and reflection, but the big one is if you've been naughty enough, you can't take the sacrament, the sort of communion-like thing, and that's very public. And if people are seeing you not taking that, they know that you've done something wrong.
So you're kind of publicly shamed.
Yeah, exactly. But the early Mormonism was definitely a cult. Nowadays, it's just kind of a big, sketchy religion. But I lived in southern Utah. Why I really wanted to call in was there was a offshoot of Mormonism that was a full-blown cult in my community.
Oh, yeah? Like someone headed a different version of Mormonism?
Yeah, it's an offshoot of kind of you could call it the classical style with the polygamy. It was the polygamists. Yeah, so I don't know if you've heard about the whole Warren Jeffs thing.
No.
Okay, well, it was an offshoot in Mormonism really recently that was down, it was in Arizona, right on the Utah border. But they ended up getting raided by the feds, and their prophet went to prison because he was marrying kids. Yeah, not cool at all. Yeah, but so that community kind of the feds came in and raided it. They all scattered, and a lot of them ended up in my hometown. All of a sudden, you get these people showing up dressed up like Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
And they're just all of a sudden in the community. Yeah.
So, dude, I was taking a train a couple months ago from New York to Chicago, and all these people dressed like that were on the train. They're the Amish. Are they a cult?
Yeah. I've got some buddies in upstate New York who interact with the Amish, and they're definitely a weird religious group, but as far as I can tell, they don't. It's hard to define a cult exactly.
It is hard. They got their own
don't seem to be
language.
too controlling.
They're speaking at each other in a language like some sort of strange version of Dutch. Pennsylvania Dutch.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's fucked up, dude. It's weird. And they all got the weird haircuts and stuff, and it's like, they seem like friendly people, but what's not cultish about that? You're in some sort of community where it's totally insulated, you're cut off from other society, and I don't know. Seems like a cult to me.
Well, don't you when you become a young adult, don't they have a thing where they send you out into the world for a couple of years and you kind of get to party and decide if you want to be Amish or not?
Yeah, you do a Rumspringa. You get to decide. That is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, if they give you that option, that feels a lot less cultish to me.
It's like the Mormons do that with the mission.
To get out.
The Mormons have the mission, but the mission they always send you like deepest, darkest Africa. And it's like, yeah, why don't you live like that?
Oh, yeah.
See how much you like not being a Mormon then.
Yeah, that's definitely trying to keep you in. It's teaching you how to be a good Mormon.
And your whole goal is to spread Mormonism, right?
Oh yeah, right. I've got a lot of friends who went and did it.
Did they all come back? Do they come back changed, or do they does that really solidify their Mormonism, or does it not? What's been your observation?
Oh yeah, in a lot of cases. Well, I've got some buddies who came back and they're just the same guy. It was just a thing they did because the culture said they had to. But there's a few guys who went out and it kind of messed them up. They'd come back definitely different than when they left. And there's a real weird trend of they tend to kind of, dare I say, fetishize the country they went to.
Oh, yeah.
They get really obsessed with the culture and the history. And I've seen it over and over and over again. Wherever they went, then they'll only date women who either look like people from there or belong to that culture. It's strange.
Nice. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird little cultural trend.
All right, I want to ask you just one more question before I let you go about Mormonism.
Absolutely.
What is the deal with sex? I'm thinking about like these. I think of Mormons as people they've got their hormones flaring, like because, like is premarital sex a thing, or how does it work? Like, are you not supposed to do that?
Strictly forbidden.
Okay.
Yeah. Premarital sex is off the table. Touching yourself is off the table. Can't do anything like that.
So you're really looking
At
for
all,
a
yeah.
wife very desperately.
Oh yeah. A lot of my friends got married as soon as possible.
But what about BYU? Is that just like a non-stop fuck fest over there? What are they doing over there? How do all these Mormons, these young horny Mormons, coexist without doing it?
Well, they either lie or they get up to some real weird stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff going on at BYU that place is just a mess. They're trying to find loopholes in the rules to have sexual experiences without having sex. That's a real thing.
I think I've heard of some of them, like the guy bouncing the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't have to go into it.
But that's a real thing. That's a problem they have up there.
Wow. All right, interesting stuff. Thanks for calling in, guy.
Yeah, great to talk to you. Love your stuff.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you much.
Oh, here's another
Call from
Satchmo.
Satchmo.
No way.
Yeah, dude. What's up?
What's up, dude? How you doing, man?
Just hanging out, dude. Sunday night, talking about cults with people over the internet.
Yeah, that's right. It's cults.
Mm-hmm. Got any thoughts on cults? Know any cults?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who doesn't these days? I feel like cults are everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they're making a resurgence?
Well, yeah. I think the internet probably helps with that.
Yeah.
I mean, people, you could just be interested in a cult and go, find whatever suits your interest.
Yeah, I had this question at the beginning of the stream. And this is open-ended, I don't know the answer, is can you have a cult over the internet where you don't even have to be like, because when you think of cults, you sort of think of people like living in the same space and it got like this constant onslaught. But can you do that over the internet?
Yeah, I think that's probably what I was getting at. I think that's the future of cults. There's something funny about that, to be honest. It's like I don't know. It's predictable. I like the zealousness of a cult actor. Do you know what I mean? Like the craziness of people that are like super into it.
The people that are actually in a physical place cult, or even people who are just doing
I mean the mental
cult?
space that you get in when you're in a cult.
Oh yeah, just like a sort of manic.
Only they can get so quick with their reactions and what have you. Triggered, easily triggered, ready to go.
Oh yeah. Okay, so wait. So what sort of cults are you talking about? Because I feel like I gotta.
That was. I didn't think it out too much. I've called in before. This is the second time I actually got on. Do you remember last time I called? I had just got back from Texas. I was drinking wine on a porch.
Yes, I do vaguely remember.
Mr. Fibber, Dr. Fibber. I used to be Mr. Fibber before. Yeah. That was a good one. I know you thought about that one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. So I think cults in sports are like synonymous, like sport clubs. You know what I mean? It's the same thing.
Yeah, dude. I
worship
just,
the Bengals. I worship the Falcon.
Dude, I got the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, my team, my freaking team, just started their divisional playoff game against the goddamn Chiefs, the horrible Chiefs.
Yeah.
We're going against Taylor Swift and the world.
I don't even know what that means, but I like that. I hope you win.
Yeah, I won't explain it. Anyway, it's stupid.
There's something about Bills fans too. I don't know what it is, but I think that's my favorite lot of all the.
They're the ones. Yeah, they'll throw dildos on the field.
Didn't know that.
That's one of their calling cards.
I may have to reconsider my snaps. I just thought they had a good time, but it sounds a bit wild. I missed the earlier stuff. Sports is a good cult. Would you agree?
I did, yeah.
What else has come along? What other good cults that were brought up? I feel like I need to know for my own good.
Oh, that were brought up already? We've been talking a lot about Mormonism so far, almost exclusively.
Okay. So the obvious cults. See, I'm interested in like the ones that hide. They integrate real well.
Yeah, like the sports cults. People wear the jerseys.
Yeah, I guess it's like a religion.
They conjure up real emotion when they're talking about sports. They can really be hurt and upset by things that happen in the game.
Yeah.
You ever gone to a professional sporting event?
Oh yeah, big time.
It's very emotional.
People get juiced up. There's a lot of drinking going on too.
That helps.
I feel like there's nothing like a good American event that's not, you got to have booze.
Does it make
people forget?
Here's a question for you: does it make a cult more or less legit if they are encouraging some sort of substance abuse? Because you sort of think of like old cults, like they're making you do psychedelics or something. Sports, you're pressured to drink. But then there's other cults that are like, we don't do anything. We're straight edge cult. Like, what's more of a cult that makes you do something, or
like
that
what's
makes
more traditionally cult? I think it's when they do something. You know what I mean? There's always like an induction that has to do with drink the snake blood wine or who knows what.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, inhale the scorpion venom or whatever the fuck they did.
Yeah.
I won't deny that's some of the cooler parts of culting.
The induction ceremony stuff?
Yeah, I wonder if people cult it up just because there's like a lack of purpose, like a team that you join.
Yeah, I would say makes a lot of sense. Like cults, you think of they suck up very aimless people.
It's cooler than bowling league or something, you know? Like they're
Yeah,
edgier.
you can feel like you're really doing something important.
Yeah, I'm actually making a difference. I don't just go play tennis.
Right. So if you just say you had to make a cult, what would be, the tenets? What would you want people to be doing to prove to them that you're an important cult?
I don't know, dude. I kind of don't trust myself with that degree of power. I've always thought about that. Like if money were no object kind of question and things like that. If I could make the rules, I would just have too good of a time. I'd make people stupid. I don't know. I think the cult, I would try to make it entertaining to watch. That's what I would go for.
Entertaining for people in the cult.
Example. Is it the Catholics that self-flagellate?
I don't know. Somebody
You know what I'm
does that.
talking about. The ones that walk around whipping their back.
Yeah, somebody does
Stuff
that.
like that.
Yeah.
Slapping their foreheads. That's the kind of stuff I would do.
For the benefit of people not in the cult, for their amusement.
Yeah, as like a show of piety or humbleness. I don't know, man.
That'd
What would
be
you
cool.
do? What would your thing be? I'm curious.
I don't know.
You have a
I
greater
think that
mind.
was a good idea. Like just doing the wackiest shit out there. Just
Like if you're going to be a part of this, you're going to pay the price kind of thing. And like, this is the way you got to live. You know?
I don't know. I don't know if there is this is a question of the
Culture
stream.
extreme,
If there is a what?
Culture extreme though, you know, it could never be something moderate.
Right. That's where I was gonna go with that. It was like,
They used to live
is
in the
there
top of
positive?
peanuts or something they'd say, you know?
It's like, can a cult be positive? In our version of what we think of cults is like they're overbearing and they're too extreme, like you said. Like, if they were just something that was normal and helpful, they just wouldn't be considered a cult.
Off topic, but you know, I went on this date the other night and this girl was talking about how her sister's boyfriend only had half a penis because he got ran over by a motorcycle, and this was during dinner. And I know, dude, it's like, what do I do here? Because I need to know more about that.
Yeah.
But also, like, how do I even ask at dinner? And it's like, I thought I was ready for anything, man. And she hit me with a hammer without. Because she kind of went off on a tangent, and that was like part of it. And I was like, whoa.
Just keep
What do you
going.
make of that?
I think I would be in the same position as you. I would need to keep following up on the half penis man.
I never got to the bottom of it. And the interest of what I was there for, I just didn't pursue that.
Dude, but
It'd be funny if I, stuck with it just to get to the story,
I mean, it's
Go on the next page.
it's still, now you've got the mystery of it, at least. The half penis man who was run over by a motorcycle. It sounds like the beginning of like a fable or
It's
something.
an insane thing to say at a dinner, first date dinner.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I was like, I like you right off the bat. You're a keeper.
Yeah,
Here,
when
I
was
got
that?
to, before I hop off, because I
Okay.
can feel
Huh?
my culting is waning. I had this idea, right? It's the idea of the emotional seller. Maybe this has already been done and I'm taking it from somebody, but people, they bottle their emotions up, right? All day long.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has an emotional cellar, like wine cellar, So it's like when that certain thing just sets people off, they pop that bottle and it's like, this one I've been saving. This bottle was from 5th grade. You know what I mean? I've been saving this for a special occasion. I'm going to go down to the cellar and I'm going to pop that open just for you. And it's like the whole, because I'm like, my dad has such a fine, he's got 10 cellars, It's like a whole
fine
facility.
collection of perfectly
Yeah.
aged emotional
The way that
abuse.
people just pop that bottle sometimes for that special occasion, I've been saving this one.
That's really
What do
good.
you think about the emotional wine cellar?
I think that's perfect. I love that. I don't know
You
how
get it, right?
I don't know how you can make
Good.
a cult around it, but I think just as a concept, that's about as good as it gets.
The cellar cult.
You have to turn it into an actual physical place so that it's not just a metaphor anymore. It's actually a meeting house, and you do something. You just drink real wine, I guess, and then you talk about your childhood or something.
I just like the idea of like, this whole aisle first grade. You know. I don't know. That's
no,
dude,
it's
I'm glad
great.
I can make
It's
it through and talk to you. Always a good time.
All right, have a good one, dude.
Take care, man.
That is honestly a great idea. The emotional wine cellar. I've been saving this. That's really good. All right. I'm going to take a quick break here. We'll be back here in just a few minutes with some more calls. We're talking about cults. All the music from the stream is from Bold Saber. You can find the link to the Bandcamp of Bold Saber in the description of this video. Here's more of that.
Hi,
Okay, the next song we're gonna do is called...
It's called Valley Lou. Another day without my marmalade, and my bags can wait at the station, and their tongues will wag inside their face as they speak of things in their impatience. Ballyloo, la loo, la la, me lay, and their bags can wait at the station. 12 days they had no thoughts to think. Did someone amputate the thoughts of thinking? They say stem cells keep us alive, but the songs we find inside our mothers. Ballyloo, la loo, la la, me lay, and our bags can wait at the station. Look at the horizon, the sight is hypnotizing. You and me enjoy the peace. While the moon's climbing, the shadows will be hiding. The problems that tomorrow can wait for. Love letters containing stillborn desires. Photos, people, back when the colors were brighter. Well, I've seen all these faces before, and I know all the pieces around them. 10 types of pieces I'm bored, made of the same sickening bricks. I got my head in and looked at. They put a thing in and took that, and then they showed me a Rorschach. thought it looked like an ink splat. I got plans to expand, rearrange the bricks into new tricks with diamond hands. Maybe someday I could give a fucking shit. Maybe someday I could wake up and vomit. Maybe someday I could give a fucking shit. Maybe someday I could wake up and vomit. Well, I've seen all these faces before. Yeah.
Okay, we are back. We're talking cults today. You can call in now. The number is 518-288-7938. Call in, talk to me about cults, the idea of cults. Maybe you got your own cult you're working on, you're planning. You got some ideas. Maybe you've been at a cult. We had an ex-Mormon. Is that a cult? Is it a religion? Let's just keep talking about it. Let's keep figuring this out. Who's this?
Call from
Former member of a cult.
Oh.
to accept.
Hello.
Hello.
You said you're a former member of a cult.
Yeah, I gotta keep it a little vague about it all.
What? Is this a nationally recognized cult, or is this more of a local one?
Trying to word it correctly. It can be seen as one, and it's a weird situation, man. Like, if you put everything on paper, it looks like one, sounds like one. It probably is one. But you were mentioning earlier on how, some cults, you try to make it fun or at least do something productive.
Mm.
Some do, but doesn't always pan out for the best because, power ruins everything. But it was a weird experience. Like,
take us through it. Is this something you were when you were involved in as like a young child, like you were born into it, or something you joined?
Yeah.
How'd this work?
Born into it.
Okay.
So, like, growing up, you're just like, oh, I guess that's how everybody lives. And they had their own way of doing things, like, the silly rules, as the previous caller said, like you couldn't watch Smurfs. And it was kind of really weird because, certain people that lived there, followed these rules strictly, like nothing secular music. It has to be Christian music or adjacent. Like, oh, I can listen to this band because this band's former member said that he is a Christian and therefore it's okay to listen to.
Okay.
It gets really weird how they even try to put that list on adults who are moving into this place for one reason or another. And sometime I can't remember the exact time, but that list pretty much went away. But, since its early years, they were enforcing that for like nearly a decade plus on people who were well into their 30s.
So this is like an actual, this is a place that people lived?
Yeah, that people did live in, yeah.
Like, is it a big house? Is it a commune type thing? What is it?
It was a commune. Like, they used to, go from travel around, and then they had a building, and then they eventually it didn't work out. But, they would tell me if this makes sense. They
they didn't do background checks on people for God knows how many years. And a lot of silly shenanigans went down, and they were putting people like, 3 to 4 people into a tiny ass little room.
Ooh.
But, people are just like, hey, that's just life, everything's covered. We just got to follow these silly rules and see where it goes. I mean, try to swing it back about doing good for some people. I mean, some people were able to get up on their feet and get clean and one thing or another, but there's a percentage of those people who left with more baggage and more issues and a bad taste in their mouth. And it was just weird seeing that happen growing up, like, hey, you can go hang out with these people. Yeah, this guy's, he's here because he's trying to get off drugs and he's a former dealer, and this guy was an abuser, and this woman here was, doing all those horrific things. And it's like, you look back at it now, you're like, oh my God, what the hell was I doing? Why was I allowed to do that?
Mm. So like the goal of this cult was a Christian thing. It was like to clean people up or something. What was like the ultimate goal?
They were just trying to promote the gospel. Okay. And, to their credit, they did as much as they could. But like, again, there's a lot of stuff about, what is and what isn't a cult. And when I explained the upbringing of my childhood people, it's like, you 100% were in it. You're just trying to cope. And I'm like, yeah, but they never went full Jonestown. They never went full, like, we all have to wear the same clothes. They never did this stuff, but it was kind of controlling. And they try to, before it eventually went down, they try to modernize it. But by that time, a lot of people had left and died. Natural causes. There was nothing silly that went down there. But, like, it was just, like, imagine, like, you're in the 80s and you're being told you can't watch, you can't watch The Terminator because it doesn't glorify God.
Right. You
turn on the radio, nope, you have to listen to Christian music because none of this music glorifies God. Mm-hmm. And as a kid, you're like, I heard there's something on, as a kid, I heard something on the radio. I'm like, I like that band, and getting reprimanded for it. Meanwhile, a kid who grew up, on a different floor was like, yeah, my parents let me listen to AC/DC. I'm like, what's this? Mm. I heard it, and I get, that is not glorifying Jesus. The whole spiel and all the speeches and rants. Yeah, it was really fucking weird, dude. But they, to try to make it as a community, as one, they were like, okay, if we're all going to do this thing together, let's chip in and have a party for ourselves. And who stepped it up? A bunch of, the people who weren't married, a bunch of the kids. And, you grow up later and like, oh my God, did they just put us through child labor?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm broke as hell. Can somebody help me, get a new pair of shoes? Because mine are just, beaten and trodden. I can't do anything. Nah, we gotta be on a stricter budget. Meanwhile, who would have thought, the higher up families somehow have all the new gadgets, all the new shit, and allegedly nobody told them they couldn't do it, and they continue doing it.
Let me ask you this. With this specific community cult you were growing up in, was it impressed on the lower level families that they were to find other people to bring in, or was that more the job of the upper levels, or was there a specific like number that was like, this is as much as we can handle? Were they trying to expand, or were they trying to like hone in what they had?
It's probably A and B. In its early years, you know how there was the hippie movement?
Yeah.
Then there was the Jesus movement. So it's all the hippies decided we got to live for God. Or a bunch of people like, I'm not going to deal with that weird stuff. But, I grew up in a religious household. I do want to live in a community with other members like this. Yes, I do want to preach the word. So they would just go out around the country or wherever they could. And once they were able to get housing somewhere, they would not exactly pass out pamphlets, I think. Keep in mind, this is God knows how many years ago. And they would just be like, hey, do you want to do that?
kind of like, hey, do you want to come and see, go worship God, or do you want to come and do this, or are you having any troubles? You should come here, we can help you. But not in the sense of like, yes, we'll help you, you'll definitely be stuck here for life. No, it's like just to socialize and get familiar with the area and then help those in need. But then, years and years and years of trying to help those in need, stuff went down, people left. Some people were able to get help, but they did try, but it wasn't like just trying to grow and grow and grow to like they can just lift off the hog and never have to work a day in their life. Like the people that were higher ups used to go out and do the same thing. They would go to like, they would have their own Sunday morning services and they would play music, play their own songs, and, preach it from there. And they gained, and I'm using the term here loosely, a following. Some people moved in because they liked what the people were preaching. And they're like, well, I trust this person. I want to live here. I might find somebody who has the same values. Let's go.
So what's the story with your involvement in it? Then you said you were born into it, so your parents, I guess, were moved in?
Yeah, so the whole entire helping thing, and my dad was a career criminal.
Oh.
Like literally probably on his last leg of like, if you screw up again, you're probably going to be in here for life type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
To their credit, some people in the higher ups would go to like a county, I guess, and try to help talk to prisoners or inmates. And he's like, hey, if you're serious about getting clean and you're serious about turning your life over, you will have a place to stay. And that's how my dad met my mom, which is hilarious to think. And I was born into it. And a lot of people in my age group, you either stay for too long and it's almost like a black hole where it's just harder to get out the more you stay. And a lot of people in my age group that were born into here or moved into the place, they're like, they got their own job, they found other people, they found new friend groups, what have you, and they just were able to get out. Whereas some people that I did know, they were stuck in here for life because it's like, I don't care about what's going on in the place. I care about my family, and I don't want my father, mother, or somebody that they consider family to be alone anymore. And that's why they stayed, until it went down.
So what was the story then with, did you leave because your parents left, or did you leave of your own, you reached a certain age and didn't want to do it anymore?
It was mostly like besides the fact the writing was on the wall that it was about to go down or be done, or no longer be a thing. It was like, hey, I had made friends who had moved here, and then they left within a couple years or so. And I'm like, you guys are still kind of close by. Hanged out with them again, and, was able to they helped me secure a place or a job, and eventually got me, I just got out. But it was the biggest sign of relief because I don't have people like, you go into an area of the building and there's not, you're not having everybody's eyes on you. And whenever they would have breakfast, lunch, or dinner, everybody wants to act like they're all happy and go lucky and want to see and talk to you. And you're like, none of you people actually care. You're just putting on a face here. And that was more relevant when certain people died in the community, and you saw people coming up and telling how much they cared about them and how much of a good friend they were, when we've never seen them interact their entire lives. This is before cell phones. So it's like, unless you guys were secretly pen pals, I think you're just doing this to make yourself feel better about never talking to this person and want to be in on it. But I know a lot of people who there was some, a family or two may have had an incident where it never got to an altercation with you're living with the same people. Like when we would go to school, and if somebody was a bully, guess what? You go back to the building, and guess what? Hey, your bullies living there too. They could be two doors down from you. They could be on a different floor than you. You have to live with them constantly. There is no separation there. So
how many people do you think? How many would you say were in this cult?
I would wager near the end, probably less than 100.
Okay.
But at its peak, I couldn't tell you. I wasn't even born yet, but it was enough to have a building.
Yeah.
I don't know how big that building was because it's probably torn down by now, but it was enough to justify that. And they had, like I said, they had a following, but they, it was just really, you know, I get like people want to be in a community together, have the same ideals and all that jazz. Sounds good and fun. But it just got really weird at the end where they didn't know what they were doing. Like, oh no, we're making all these horrible financial decisions. Oh no, why is nobody joining here? Oh no, why didn't we ever think about doing background checks until the later years? Like, who would have thought? Like the reputation would just be destroyed. But, you know, I'm not going to lie and say I didn't have fun at some points, but, you know, how much of that's just looking through, you know, with rose-tinted glasses, wherever the fucking saying is at this point. But, you know, I had some of my best friends were there, met some very damaged people who ended up like the most aggressive looking people on earth, like, you know, take the shirt off their back to help people out. Like, it changed some people for the better, but when it didn't, it showed. It would make things worse because these people had no idea what they were doing. They were just like, oh yeah, we'll take anybody in.
So it just felt like it was kind of like thrown together. It wasn't like really well thought out. It was like they were hoping for the best.
Yeah, like, again, they tried to do something for the good of the people and the area, but, you know, I'd be lying to say if they didn't, or if they didn't accomplish some of that goal, but right. Again, power ruins everything, alleged embezzlement, a few incidents that made people wary of the place. You know, bad gas travels fast. And it especially doesn't help when they're just like, oh no, how do we get more people? How about we don't acknowledge what happened and just carry on? And it's like, wait, what? Like, you weren't allowed. Like, I know I'm at the end here, but a really weird rule was that growing up, you weren't allowed to leave the building unless you had, I mean, you know, it's common sense, you know, have an adult or somebody that your parents trust. But, you know, when you're a teenager, you're supposed to get familiarity with the area. You know, it could be a small town. It could be a city. You know, it's like as soon as you turn 18, they're like, go get your driver's license and you can go out and do whatever you want. But it's like, wait a minute. How are you expecting all of these teenagers who were born into this place to navigate the city when you were forbidding them to do so? What were you afraid of? Like, there were some weird ass rules, but that was probably the most egregious one where they were like, okay, yeah, we're wrong, but we still kind of feel that it'd be best if you brought somebody with you and don't travel alone, which to the point, that's kind of fair depending on what's happening. But for the most point, a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds not knowing, wait, where's this street at? And it's like, it's a block away. How did you know this?
Yeah, I guess the weird thing I think about that is like, taking that power out of the parents' control and diverting that power to the larger community structure. Is it like, does the community think like the parents that are living there, like they aren't capable of making those decisions for their children?
Later on, yeah. I mean, there were some that fought back. And by fighting back, I mean, not like, you know, getting into an actual physical thing, although it did escalate a couple times with some people. But there was one family in particular that was just like, yeah, we're going to listen to what we want. We're going to let my kids watch movies that we think are appropriate. No, we're not going to listen to your list. No, that's silly. Why would we do that? Yeah, she's going to go out. We're going to take her on walks with us. Yeah, we let her go out alone. we know the area and like, you know, the neighbors and everything. We're just like, yeah, we trust them.
Right.
But there was a really weird incident where, this is all alleged. Don't like it matters. It's good and gone now. But the a higher ups kid was dating another kid, and it didn't pan out. And so, because they were closer to like 17 or 18 at that point, I want to say, the higher ups went to that kid's parents and told them, like, yeah, that person needs to leave. No, they can't live here anymore. They're like, oh. So that person went to his friend that was living there and was like, hey, I don't know what to do. They're telling me I can't, my kid can't live here anymore. And that person snapped out of it and goes like, dude, that's your kid, not his.
Right.
What did he do that's so wrong? Oh no, our relationship ended. Was there any altercations? No? Great. You have nothing to worry about. What's he going to do? Like,
Drama.
Shit like that.
Can't have the drama in the cult, dude.
Hey, we're going to kick somebody out because they broke up with my kid. Wow, that's not controlling whatsoever.
Yeah.
Or a really dumb one was this one woman was babysitting a bunch of the kids or babies, and her husband at that time, I think they're still together, he got an offer to go back to his small town and be in the ministry over there. And he's just like, hey, I want to start a family with you. I love that area. I grew up there. I do want to raise our children there. And so they started to tell people around the place. Well, word got back to the higher ups, and they took them, when they were separate, they told them, like, hey, I don't think so-and-so's living here for the right reasons. They're not really glorifying God here. And I think it'd be best if you were to just divorce her. They go to her. I think it'd be best if you divorce him. Look at the way he's looking at all the other women here. Just trying to say whatever they could to get in the split, because if she leaves, they lose their free babysitting.
Right. I see.
So they found out, and they're like, hey, did so-and-so have a talk with you? They're like, yeah. And they're like, once they figured it out, they're like, yeah, we're getting out now.
Boy. Oh, well, hey, man, thank you for telling me about this. That's a interesting, seems like a little micro cult that we haven't heard of. That these probably just happen everywhere.
I wish I could tell you more, but I respect some of the people that are still alive that went through it, and I don't want anything to happen.
Yeah,
but
that's fine. Well, hey, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
No problem. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. And we got another call.
From
David.
Yo.
Hi, is this the Mormon Hour?
Yes. Are you a Mormon?
No. I've heard talk about a lot of Mormons on this here radio station.
You've never even thought about being a Mormon, not even once?
Never, not even crossed my mind. I hear that it's not a great time.
Oh, well. I mean, hey, we're talking about cults. Mormonism was coming up a lot. Do you have experience with that, or do you want to talk about cults, other cults?
I don't have experience with Mormonism.
That's okay.
I'm currently in this cult where people we're like on this Discord, and people will watch these live streams and go like, I'm gonna bop you on the head and stuff like keep going, and something about this godforsaken chunk monthly.
It's like
It's a really weird cult.
A Discord internet YouTube cult?
Yeah. And it's like the highest members, they're called studs.
Oh yeah. Well, what do you feel like? Is this a damaging cult? Are you feeling abused?
I don't know if I'm feeling abused. I mean, I'm giving all of my money to this one guy, and
that sounds like a cult to me.
I don't know. Absolutely, I think it's got all the check marks of being a cult, and so I'm just getting just kind of concerned. It's been a great time so far, but there's like not a lot of people like it when you say you're in a cult.
Yeah. So Have you tried to get other people involved in this? Is it just you, or do you have friends in this cult also?
I'm the only one. I mean, I've made friends in the cult, but
Oh, nice.
but I've tried to turn my family and friends on to it, but they're like, that's weird. You need to get away from me.
What are you getting out of this cult?
Nothing.
Oh,
I got a pretty cool chunk the other day.
what is
I
it?
won. I won my own little gene the other day, and so I think that's I'm up. As far as my losses, I'm currently up now.
This is like an art cult. This isn't a religious one.
It sometimes feels religious, but mostly it's just art.
What's the religious aspect?
I don't know. I don't think actually. Come to think of it, there's no religious aspect. It's completely unspiritual. I think people are mostly atheists here.
Oh, that's weird. So internet cults, that's a thing, huh? Like it's not just you don't have to just be living in the same building as people. You could. I mean, the weird thing about the internet cult is like, why not just log off, dude? Why not just close your computer?
Well, you could say the same thing about the physical cults. Why don't you just walk away and don't come back?
But it's harder because then you got to deal. That's like a money issue. You got to find a place to go. You got to pay for it. But you could just.
Yeah, that's true.
But would you pay more? Would you? You said you're paying for this cult, but what would you pay? How much would you pay to stay a part of this cult?
I give my entire paycheck to stay in this cult because I'm invested.
You just want to know what happens next?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you ever get people in this cult that seem like they're a lot, not saying that you're crazy, but just they seem a lot crazier than you?
Oh, absolutely. There was this one guy last month that was like in a mental institution messaging in the Discord, and I was like, this isn't healthy. Somebody needs to help this guy. Yeah. He needs to give more money, and he can rise up in the ranks and become healed.
But that didn't happen.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think so. We haven't heard from him for a few weeks now.
Wow. So the cult isn't really helping.
Not for that guy. For me, it's good because then, because like today I get home from real church, and then I'm like, now what the fuck am I going to do for the rest of the day? I'm just going to smoke cigarettes and drink beer, and I was afraid I was just going to doom scroll on my phone, but lo and behold, the leader of the cult started a live stream that I could screw around in the comment section, which is never good, but it's funny, and so now I actually have something to do for a few hours.
Oh, so nice.
So
that's the internet cult. Is it gives you something to do?
Exactly. Because idle hands are the devil's tools, I think.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I mean, it's just coincidence that this is a live stream and you're talking about a live stream. But on this live stream, what would you want to hear from other cult members of the live stream that you're listening to? That's not necessarily this one. What do you want to hear about that's gonna keep giving you something to do, and you're gonna keep listening and potentially pay more money later?
I like it when the members talk about foreskin. That's a very interesting topic. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need more content revolving around foreskin. More.
Do you want to say anything about that?
More video. What?
Do you want to say anything about? You could speak your piece about foreskins right now if you want.
Well, I am one without one.
Oh.
It was stolen from me at the age of 5.
Oh, that's old.
Which is a lot later. Which was a lot later than most people. It was for medical issues that I don't remember. I don't recall what the medical issues were.
You had an extra shaggy foreskin?
I think so. Like, it wasn't working very well. Something was stuck, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, so
you just want to hear
So it was
more people's experiences about that.
Exactly. It's just an interesting topic. I mean, it's. I think it's funny.
Do you think the practice of removing the foreskin is a cult practice, or is what?
Well, it could be a cult practice. You know, as a lot of things can be or can't be. I, for one, if I ever have any sons, God forbid, I would probably circumcise them, just because it's cleaner. And I'm friends with a few like caretakers, like women who care for elderly men who cannot clean their foreskin, and it's hell, from what I understand.
You get like moldy?
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's just like worse than, you know, it's like smegma is bad, but then, you know, what if you don't get that out of there, you know, and it's just like, it gets worse and worse, you know, and then these poor nurses have to clean it out for them. And that's like worse than cleaning some shit out of an accident.
Yeah, that is. I see where they're coming from.
And so I am I'm glad to be circumcised, although, you know, nobody asked me, so I have my umbrage with that. I would like it back as a souvenir, you know, maybe put it on every once in a while and make believe like I have one.
Yeah. You miss it sometimes.
But in the end, I am glad that I don't have one, because it's cleaner and it doesn't look nasty. It doesn't smell nasty. It's yeah.
One less thing to clean. I mean, if you could remove your butthole also, because that's basically when I'm in the shower. That's my first concern is taking all the stuff out of my butthole.
Well, that should be your last concern, because you don't want to clean your butthole and then like go and clean the rest of your body. You know, like my butthole is the last place that I clean with my washcloth, because I don't want that. Yeah, I don't want to
just use my fingers. I get in right in there first things first, and then I wash my hands with the soap, and then I start the rest of the procedure.
I think I need some tips on to do that, because I'm not that thorough. Maybe I should become more thorough.
Dude, you gotta I mean, what's the point of a shower if not to clean your butthole? What else really needs to be cleaned? The rest, you can just step out in the rain.
That's true. But I think I'll go to jail if I'm trying to clean my ball sack out in the rain.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. All right. Well, hey, David, thanks for telling us about your special cult. Sounds like you're loving it and you're going to continue paying. Is that right?
Yeah. If I actually have one more serious thing to say.
Okay.
If that's okay, my friend.
Please.
I am in a church. It's a smaller church. We all meet up in smaller houses, and then once a month we get together in one building and do church together. But most of the time we're in separate houses or smaller buildings. And for some reason, a lot of people, it is quite Pentecostal. There's a lot of talk about healing and speaking in tongues and stuff, which I don't disbelieve. I just don't think it happens as much as a lot of people think it happens. A lot of Christians that I'm in contact with.
You think people might
but at one point,
conjure it voluntarily rather than involuntarily?
Yeah. Well, they just they want to treat it as if God is a genie and not just, God. Like he can just fix your problems if you pray, if you live right, which isn't the case. But anyway, at one point, there were some people in the community or outside the community who had a problem with my church, and they say it's cultish or it is a cult. And so at one point, one of the head leaders of the church for the all group where all the churches meet, he read off a list of what it means. I mean, what you need to, like what cults have, what it means to be in a cult. Oh. And so he read off a list and went through it and talked with the congregation, and it's like, okay, so we're not in a list. Like it got so bad that he actually had to talk about.
He had to convince
how we aren't a cult. He has to convince some people that we aren't actually a cult. Like, here's a list. This is what it means to be in a cult, and we don't fit anything on this list.
Was that reassuring?
I don't know. I mean, I'm in this church. I'm staying in it because I like the people in it. It's very close knit, which I think is one of the reasons why people think it's a cult. Like everybody knows everybody, and some people just don't like that. They want to go to church, and then they want to sing a couple songs, hear the sermon, and then leave without talking to anybody else. Mm-hmm. But my church, it's like way different. People are praying for everybody and just talking to everybody. Like we have a potluck after every service, and people are just talking and getting to know each other. And I think a lot of people don't like that part of the church.
This is what you prefer, though, is something that's more communal and not like a personal, right? And not a communal thing.
Yeah. It needs, from what I understand, going to church, like most churches, like these big churches, like these mega churches, where you just go and you hear the sermon and you leave. That's not what church is actually about. It's iron sharpens iron. You need to actually get people to pray for you. You need accountability people, for sin. And so that's why I like this church, but because it's personal and people are actually looking out for you and your spirit. But some people don't like that, and it felt kind of cultish to them. And so they started accusing us of being a cult, which led to the leader, or one of the leaders. There isn't one leader. There was a group of people. He went up with a list of what it means to be in a cult, and said, we're not in a cult. And I'm like, okay, very good. That's
so you liked you like the sense of accountability that you have when it's a more communal thing where people are holding you accountable for what you believe. It's not, people earlier in the stream were sort of talking about, accountability is a sort of word you can twist that to mean different things. Some people would say accountability.
Oh yeah.
That's where it's control. Like that's where that comes into with the cult type mindset. How does that factor?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It can definitely be used in a wrong way. So you need somebody for accountability.
And but it can be bad, but it's not in this cult. Your church.
Well, I mean, right, exactly. I don't see it there. Like I have a buddy, he and I, we get together once a week and we talk about sexual purity,
Oh.
And then we try to, and we're just trying to be more sexually pure, because these days it's just like everywhere, on your phone and stuff, porn and shit, and we don't believe it's healthy, and so we're trying to overcome that. So we talk about it. We say when we have failed. We say when we talk about when we succeed to not fall for it, and we pray for each other.
So it's like the opposite of like a goon squad.
It's the complete opposite.
Thank God that those exist. Because
Yeah,
you hear
I'm
about
not
the
trying-
goon squads, and it's like
Oh,
this
yeah.
is not leading to a better America, a healthy world.
Right, exactly, and that's what it's all about,
Bettering our country and the
Exactly.
world, and the world.
Bettering our country, the world, our soul, and the kingdom of God.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, David, thank you for
What? We should have a stream about the kingdom of God, and I'll call in and tell you all about it.
All right, that could be a topic for a stream, Kingdom of God.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you for calling in,
All right,
David.
thank you
Good
so
hearing from
much
you.
for your time.
All right. You have a good one.
Absolutely. I love calling in.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Nice. Nice. These are long calls today. I don't know. I always go into the call-in show thinking I'm going to just like do 3 to 5 minute calls and really whip them out, all the voices. But I'm just so freaking interested in what everyone has to say. I don't feel, it feels wrong cutting people off. So that's the sort of stream it is today. We're doing long calls. It's a long call stream. I'm going to be taking a break right now because these long calls make my bladder fill up, and I got to go, take care of that. So we're going to be listening to a couple more songs from Bold Saber. All the music from the stream is from Bold Saber, who is also Drew Langlois, who does all the animations that you know from this channel. If you know this channel, you definitely know these animations that Drew makes. The Shoobity Bop, Something Terribly Offensive, That's a Nice Grill, Don't Ever Look at Me. The man is a talented artist, and he does music as well that we're listening to right now, all from Bold Saber. You can go in the description of this video and click on the link for music by, and you'll find all that shit. So we'll be back in just a few minutes with more calls.
You tried sweeping, cleaning the floor. You are obsessed by food on the floor. Surface must be perfect, vacuum it up. The best method for it, cleaning it up. The best method for it, cleaning it up. The best method for it, cleaning it up. Cleaning it up, cleaning it up. Sanitize me, sanitize me, sanitize me. Dusty, dusty, dusty. Road in my mind and it's wanting to glow. Road in my mind and it's ready to glow. Cold, cold pine fresh, mopping it up. Headache spotless, lemon it up. Best method for it, shining it up. Best if it's sterilized, cleaning it up. Cleaning it up, cleaning it up. Sanitize me, sanitize me. When you walk down a road and it's needing a glow. When you walk down a road and it's ready to glow. Save the drama for your mama. Keep your shirt on, grandma. Sometimes I know there is a right and a wrong way to be. To be. To be. A right and a wrong way to be. Sometimes I know there is a right and a wrong way to be. The hoarders and the slobs, the holier than thou knobs, dumpster dwelling pissants, the bane of my existence. Take what they need and leave me with only a grievance. They linger ever near me, but they'll never figure it out. Sometimes you know there is a right and a wrong way to be. To be. A right and a wrong way to be. Sometimes you know there is a right and a wrong way to be. The answers came slow, like turtles in the goddamn snow. But sometimes I know there is a right and a wrong way to be.
Okay, we are going to do, I know I just said that I couldn't cut people off, but I just changed my mind. We're going to do a lightning round. All right? Everyone's calling in now. Less than 5-minute calls. So get to the frickin' point right off the rip, and I'm going to push you. I'm going to push you to get there. Call in now, 518-288-7938. I want to get a bunch of calls today. I don't want to just have like 10, 20-minute calls. Here's someone right now. Let's bully them into talking fast.
Call from.
My name is Ketamine Fetishist.
No, ketamine fetishist. I accepted your call, but it just hung up for some reason. I'm so sorry. That wasn't me. I pressed the right buttons, I swear to God. Call in again, 518-288-7938. 518-288-7938. We're doing quick calls. We want to hear about your cult opinions fast. I want to do 5 quick calls in a row. Who's going to step up to the plate? We haven't, there's got to be some, cult knowledge out there. I know all these people, all you listeners are cult heads. Oh, God, excuse me. Call in now, 518-288-7938. What do you have to say about cults? Someone's got to come in and tell me that cults are good. Because maybe cults are good. I mean, until they start, doing their horrible cult shit, obviously. Who's this?
Call from.
Jim.
Hello?
Hello.
Is this Jim?
Yes, sir. How you doing there, brother?
Jim, we're in the lightning round. We're doing just 5-minute calls, so we're going to get right to the point. We're talking about cults today. What do you got to say?
Oh, brother, I just got out of a cult. Some Freemasons are trying to get me involved in their bullshit. You ever deal with them?
No. What even are the Freemasons? I don't understand them at all.
I don't even know what they are, man. They're a little club. They meet. There's like 20 of them. They get together. They talk about math and science and history.
What?
I don't know. I didn't want anything to do with that.
How'd you get involved?
Oh, it's a familial deal. You got to know somebody, I think. My grandfather was a Freemason, and he wanted me to be a part of it, but I don't know. I'm just into trucks and shit. You know how it goes.
Is it like a networking cult? Is it to get a good job?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. He was talking about setting me up for success, and, I'm a man of my own will, my own talent, so I don't want nothing to do with it. And I just figured I'd let it be. Because, we got a history of cults here. I live in Indiana. I'm a Hoosier by heart, go IU. And
Yes.
We got a history of cults in our state. There's a whole town. You ever heard of New Harmony?
No. Sounds like a cult shit.
This feller from England, he said, I got a lot of money and I got a lot of power and I've got a lot of really cool ideas. What if I shared those ideas with other like-minded folks? And he basically built his own town, this utopia, as it were, called it New Harmony. It was a big social experiment. Everything looked like it was going to go okay, and it all went to shit. Everybody went, their own separate ways. At the time, I think he'd be considered a philanthropist, but by today's standards, he'd probably be what you call like a batshit crazy son of a bitch.
How did New Harmony work? What did he do? What's the philosophy there?
I think he was one of those guys that was like, everybody talks about God, how cool he is, but what about if that wasn't real? And everybody said, you know what? That's fucking crazy, man. And he said, no, I'm pretty sure it's just us here. We got to figure stuff out on our own. So let's just start our own town. We'll be all peaceful. We'll have our own rules. It'll be separate from God. And it worked for about a year or two until it all just kind of fell apart. There was no real infrastructure to the whole thing. It was more of an ideology.
So was it not controlling enough to stay together?
I think he just had a lot of money and thought, what if, without any kind of economic feasibility to it or any real infrastructure to make it work in the long term beyond just ideology and hopefulness. But I don't really know. Like I said, I don't want much to do with them Colts. I'm lucky I got out of it, man. I just figured I'd call in and let you know.
Well, so did you learn anything from the Freemasons, or was it just a huge waste of your time?
Yeah, I learned, people come off real nice. Everybody wants to do you a favor and share goodwill, but I think that, when it comes down to it, you can't trust nobody. And the friendliest people are the people that want to steal your kidneys or your blood or sign you a contract or shit that later on you got to do them a favor because they did you a favor.
So it was a quid pro quo. It was a reciprocal kind of relationship. It wasn't unconditional love.
I mean, that's my thought on it. I don't know how you feel about it, but to me, I mean, a cult's I think it's just a bunch of people that don't feel like society is doing it for them, and they got their own ideals, and they want to form their own sub-society. And we kind of have negative and positive connotations to them, but I mean, can you really blame some fellas for saying, hey, I don't want to jive with all these laws. I got my own stuff going on. It's just, I think the bad apples kind of ruin it for the bunch. You got them Charles Mansons out there and then, whoever else is. But it's just not my cup of tea. You know what I mean, brother?
Yeah, I totally understand. Hey, thank you for calling in, brother.
Oh, you too. God bless.
God bless. See, that's what it's all about.
Call from.
Quick call. What? Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Can't complain at all. My internet just cut out, but the phone's working, so I'm here now, I'm assuming.
Yeah, dude, you're in. You're back. This is the lightning round now. We're doing quick calls, 5 minutes. We're talking cults. What do you got to say about cults?
Cult of personality, totally fine. I see no problem with cults as long as they aren't doing anything too crazy. I almost joined a cult. I always thought I was mentally strong enough to avoid that. And then about a few baseball-sized balls of cocaine later, I'm doing some things I never thought I was doing.
Oh, this is a drug cult?
Kinda. It started off as just like a club thing, and then it became like drugs, and then sex, and then it's like, whoa, I don't even know if that's like my sexuality. And then
oh, they're trying to make you gay?
Kinda. I was kind of like the wingman. I was kind of like the higher up in this cult. And we'd help bring in guys from like clubs and stuff. And I wasn't thinking too much about it until I realized the guys they were bringing in were like straight and just had like drug problems. And then the dudes making them do things. And I'm like,
oh,
Jesus Christ. But it's like,
no.
It was fun though. It was in Hollywood. We were hopping around like different clubs and stuff, just getting in, like no problem. Probably shouldn't be saying too much about this, but like, maybe cults aren't good, but like the drugs were. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you for everything. Love the show. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Thank you. Goodbye. Oh, man. See, this is the problem with the lightning round calls. I want to get into that shit. This cult made that guy gay. Like, no, they tried. They tried, dude. Dude, that's what it's all about, really. Cult, control, making you gay, making you part of our Epstein clientele list. Hollywood, gay. You know what I'm saying.
Call from
October.
October?
Like the month.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was thinking. What's up? We're doing the cult call-in show, and it's the lightning round. We're doing less than 5-minute calls, so you got to get straight to the point. We're talking about cults. What do you have to say about cults, October?
All right, I'll be really quick about cults. I've thought about them a lot, so it should be very easy for me to get quick to the point.
Yeah, right.
I think a lot of people, I think the word cult is kind of, I know you were saying earlier in the stream, are we going to get someone who's going to say cults are good? I don't know if I would say cults are good, but I kind of have a hard time distinguishing cults from religion just in general. And I don't say that as like, a Reddit atheist, but I say that as like in general.
Right. It's not like just purely to dunk on organized religion, but yeah, there are some similarities. What would you say?
Yeah,
do you think there is some sort of a definite difference between a cult and religion, or do you think they're following the same sort of patterns?
Well, I think, organized religion, like I think organized is like a big part of it, is that they've developed those sort of like
there's like hierarchies that keep them functioning. Because you know, I studied like religious studies when I was in university, you know, and I took a few courses. They don't even call them cults when you go to university. They give them a fancy name. They give them new religious movements. And one of the things they said is that like really, you know, early cults or whatever, early new religious movements are what most people focus on. When it's like you got that one guy and he's like the charismatic personality, like Charles Manson, and they love focusing on the ones that explode themselves. Or like they love focusing on the first crazy guy who started the Mormons. I forget his name. But then like after those leaders die, they just kind of get a big bureaucracy that keeps it going, and it looks really similar to just like any other religion.
Do you think those big bureaucracies form? What do you say is their motivation? Is it based on some sort of sincere belief that like this is the way that the new people of the world should live, or is it just like we are making money, this is a business, and we are doing good, so keep it going? Or is it both?
I think yeah, I was going to say it's both, because it's like, you know, you got that like ideological like reasoning to keep doing what you're doing, but also like you've invested your entire life, your entire way of thinking, your whole family's in this shit. You get your money from this. You're not just going to like blow that up. So it's just like they're continuing the mission, but it's kind of like a hollowed out office at that point, because they're really just like trying to keep it along the sort of like spearhead that was like making it have, you know, like new ideas in the first place, that was like really like jumping around and not really giving a shit. That's gone, and it's just like trying to survive. You know, like Hare Krishnas, like they used to be like for example, they used to be like all white people and have their own like crazy thing, but then after like a large amount of like East Asian people immigrated to the United States, they just kind of like moved on to trying to appeal to those people in order to just like survive.
And it worked.
Yeah, it's just an interesting thing. Yeah, it works. It kind of like, and that's like, I think that's in a lot of things. So I don't think cults are just sort of like a way of organizing people. You know, it's not really, I don't think they're like crazy fanatics in the way that like they can be painted.
Do you have an idea in your head of like what would be like an ideal sort of cult? Do you think there is an ideal and then it's been corrupted by other things, or is it something that just can't work? Something that can work or can't work? What do you think?
Well, I think it can work, and in that, like, I mean, the point of it is that like wasn't every religion, like when it first came out, wasn't that like literally a cult technically, you know? Yeah.
Like Christianity,
So,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, and you could say that's the little charismatic guy that started it, and then the whole fucking line of Peter, Paul, or whatever the fuck is just what kept it going.
And the bureaucracy. I mean, you know, there's some sort of well, I guess that's the question, is like, is there a genuine belief? Like, do you think that there are good, is the separation between a good and a bad cult like how genuine the beliefs are, or versus like how pragmatic they are with just like making money? Like, is that balance have to do with good versus bad when it comes to a cult?
No, I think it happens to everybody, because it's like, you know, the other guy was talking about infrastructure and something like ad hoc things. I think they can do a lot to like, they could be like, oh, I'm going to be revolutionary and I'm going to do this a whole new way, and I'm going to do it in a way society's never done before, you know, and that's like the big ideal. When you do all this stuff outside of society and you don't like actually like invest the structures to like make yourself function, then you're just gonna fall apart, because you need to make it become sustainable. And I think you lose some of you kind of get caught up in the way the world already is when you try and live in the world, if that makes any sense.
Is there a way to integrate into society without like killing a bunch of people? Like, isn't that sort of like Christianity, like you know, became the global force because of like armies that were willing to fight for it?
You know,
Is that totally wrong? I don't know anything about history. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. So tell me if I am.
Well, I'm just thinking of Mormonism. Not to say I like Mormonism or think Mormonism's all that great, but I'm just thinking of, I don't think Mormonism was exactly spread by the sword or whatever, as people like to say. I was pretty much just spread by really aggressive proselytization.
Mm-hmm. So is that good? Is that would be preferable to war, right? I mean, isn't that sort of like how ideals spread a lot of the time is through violence?
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, how can you really? I don't know if you could just put like a moral, like, am I going to say this is good or bad outside of the actual context? You know, like, can you say the French Revolution is good? I don't know. Were you a monarchist? Like,
right.
Determines a lot of the shit there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate your perspective on this.
No problem. Have a good one.
All right. Have a good one. A little over 5 minutes. A little over, but we're still going quick. This is good. I like this energy. This vibe. I gotta think faster. I say stupid stuff faster. 518-288-7938. Call in. Tell me about cults. Excuse me. You know, we're talking about cults. The religion versus cult thing. It's an age-old topic. Who's this?
Call from
Shane.
Shane.
Yo, what's going on?
Yo, Shane, we're doing the lightning round. It's 5 minutes or less on the call, so get right to the point. What are we talking about? We're talking about cults. What do you got to say?
All right. I don't know if I have a single cult, but I have like an offspring of cult and culture that all come from either CIA funded or, you know, really West Coast institutional LSD studies back in the 50s and 60s. You want to hear about that?
Yes.
All right, man. Well, we've got some confirmed MK Ultra participants, like Allen Ginsberg. Do you know who he is?
Give us just the quick recap of MK Ultra. I'm sure everyone knows, but just the quick recap.
Well, I mean, the CIA is looking into ways of, people have always tried to do this throughout history. They want truth serum. They want a way for people to spill the beans and also to control people. You know, if you could have like a person be like a robot and go out and kill somebody, they'd love that. So MK Ultra, you're trying to brainwash people as if you can like use them like a robot, but also if they could just have a drug spill the beans, that'd be really useful for like spy shit.
Yeah.
So MK Ultra is just a psychological experimentation, but it used psychedelics because they were kind of new at the time.
Does that make it easier to spill the beans if you got someone on psychedelics?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I think all the truth serum stuff, there's like it's mixed evidence whether or not it helps, because sometimes, you know, even like alcohol can remove your inhibitions, but it doesn't work for everybody. And then something like psychedelics, they could become very unreliable because, you know, their perception of reality isn't even accurate at that point. But yeah, anyways, I mean, there were people like, okay, Robert Hunter is a lyricist for the Grateful Dead. Allen Ginsberg is a beat poet. Ken Kesey is also of the beat generation. Who else? Charles Manson, of course. That wasn't quite MK Ultra. That was the National Institute of Health funded LSD experimentation.
So what are you saying? Like these people took LSD from the government and then it did something to their mind and it made them do what?
I mean, so far all these people took LSD through government-funded programs, yes, and at least with the beat generation in sort of the West Coast, especially San Francisco generation culture, I think it shaped it in a way that people didn't really expect, that like there was like this psychedelic wave that, you know, it was like the generation of love or whatever, 1969, and ooh, we're going to take LSD and everyone's going to open their mind and there's going to be this new age of, you know, open-mindedness or whatever. It didn't really happen because it spiraled into, you know, a lot of those people like ended up abusing other drugs. It's not like they all somehow opened their third eye and could see into the mind of God or something like that. They just kind of got freaky on a bunch of drugs. But yeah, this is where it's like, you know, it's not like a true cult, but it did inspire a lot of like early Silicon Valley philosophy, and it's still a culture that is extremely embedded in, you know, some academic circles, California culture. So I just think it's interesting that these experiments could lead to such a cultural change.
Do you think this is having to do with the culture of today, like a new age culture? It has to do with prominent people who have taken psychedelic drugs and then become prominent thinkers or poets or media makers or something, people who are influencing opinion. You think that has a significant impact on today's thinking?
I think it's actually kind of, well, it's weird because it's like, it's come and gone, you know? I mean, psychedelics, while they are being slowly taken up, you know, funnily enough, by like academics or people who want to use something like psychedelic mushrooms to treat depression or addiction, which there is some evidence they can do. I live not too far from Denver, and they just decriminalized possession of psychedelic mushrooms. So it's still like in people's minds, but it's not a zeitgeist like it used to be. I think the whole psychedelic experiment of like, you know, 55 years ago at its peak, it's kind of like old hat at this point. And I mean, Silicon Valley is not what it used to be. It's not. The quality of the ideas coming out of it are not as good as they used to be. So, I mean, maybe there was something there, which is kind of funny.
Is there something where... have you ever done psychedelics?
I have, yeah, but not in a while.
Do you think there's something to the idea... Let's say that, like, psychedelics were as legal as alcohol. Do you think that would significantly change the course of just general thinking, or do psychedelics have to be given to specific super poetry people, like the government has decided you're an intelligent person and we're going to give you psychedelics, see what happens to you? I think, like, I'm in Canada now, and I think in Canada mushrooms are legal, right? Yeah, mushrooms. You can buy mushrooms in Canada. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until recently. But yeah, like, what's the deal there? It's like, is giving it to everybody do anything, or is it just like, does it need to be with very specific people that actually make some sort of difference?
See, I think it could go either way, right? I mean, there's people that are like obviously at risk if they have a psychedelic experience. About 2 to 3% of the
schizo-type
population.
people?
Well, yeah, it's like schizophrenia type. But what's weird is like a lot of these people can kind of like cope with those symptoms, but when they take psychedelics, it kind of like unleashes that psychosis and they become deranged. So I don't think like I don't recommend people take them. And I don't know.
Yeah, what's your feeling? If you didn't know until now that in Canada you can just buy mushrooms, like, does that seem something that's like, that's okay, or should it be something that is kind of locked behind laws and stuff?
Oh, I'm not. That's where it's like weird, because like as far as regulation goes, that's making me think of do you know what salvia is?
Yeah.
So that's legal in California. Like you can go to like a gas station and buy some. And that is seriously the most terrifying drug I've ever used.
For sure.
And something like that has no regulation on it. So as far as the and
that doesn't even have, like, from my experience, salvia is not even gonna like open your mind or anything. It's just like it could only make you. It could definitely make you crazy, but it won't like make you like feel like, oh, I know everything now. It's like you could either go crazy or just be like, I never want to do that again.
Right. Okay, I guess here's the way I would put it. The people who should take it are the people who are already going to be the ones seeking it out.
But you know, there's a weirdness there where it's like, you know, people who are seeking it out, they might not be seeking it out for some sort of mind-expanding experience. They might just be like, I've done a bunch of drugs and I like them, but I want to try something else. I want to try a different drug to see how high that gets me.
That's true, but you're never gonna fix that type of thinking, right?
No, no, of course. All right, wait. We've gone way too long. It's supposed to be the lightning round, and you've gone 10 minutes. Why'd you do that, dude?
Okay.
God damn it.
But Ted Kaczynski's also on the list, so there you go. Aldous Huxley, Timothy
MK
Leary.
Ultra guys?
All CIA-funded LSD use. Isn't that nuts? I don't know.
Do you have a final conclusion to this thought?
The government never stopped studying how to control us. How about that?
Nice. Very good. All right. Thank you for calling in, dude.
See you.
All right. Hello.
Hey, it's Allie.
Allie, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great. We're talking about cults today. We're doing the lightning round. It's 5 minutes or less, but there's some leeway in here. So, what do you think about cults?
Yes. I have stories, but also I just wanted to say something about salvia real quick.
Sure.
By the way, this is Allie from the grandma story. I just want to make sure.
Oh, nice. Allie. Good talk.
It's good to talk to you. So salvia, I discovered a lot of stuff about, and it's actually a fascinating example of how stigma forms around drugs, because the native people who use it, the Mazatec, are also the people who use LSA, morning glory, and mushrooms. They like cultivate it. And the way they use it is they chew the leaves. And it's a big ritual, and they do a very low dose compared to what Americans do. The problem is that it's the stuff that you can get in stores is like the extremely strong, like 50 or 80 times extract, which is extremely terrifying, especially when you smoke it, which is not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to, if you smoke it, it's supposed to be like the dry leaves, and
which is
much different.
Which is what everyone does when they're doing salvia.
Yes, because you can just go to a smoke shop and buy the stupid multi dozens of times extract. I've done many times quitting, which is chewing the salvia leaf. It's weird because you're chewing a bunch of leaves, but it's actually very subtle, probably most similar to ketamine, actually, but not very strong. It's, I'm actually pretty annoyed at the stigma around it. There's a whole story about why there's so much stigma related to like the war on drugs, but I think that it's the drug with the worst PR, I would say. So, anyways, I just wanted to say that.
As it was introduced to me, I did read about the chewing thing, and I was just like, no, like smoking, that gives you the most powerful.
Yeah.
That gives you the
Yeah,
freaking
that's what people
highest
want.
high. Yeah, so it's like that's the one that's appealing.
No, it's so much more gradual. Like when you chew it, it's like there's like an hour of ramp up and like an hour of ramp down. And it's very, like, it's not like when you smoke it and you're just like pulled into this like nightmare realm. Like it's completely different. And I wish more people tried it.
Have you smoked it also?
No.
Oh, okay.
If you go on Arrowhead and look at trip reports from salvia, if you read the ones that people smoked it versus the ones where they chewed it, it's completely different. It's like a different drug.
I know.
So I just am not interested in smoking it. It's like
I've only smoked it, and it really does bring you directly to hell. Just in no time at all.
I think people don't respect these medicines. Like we need to treat these things with respect rather than just like I think the Western culture about drugs is just like, we just got to get wasted, and instead of actually like respecting and looking at how the people who cultivated salvia for hundreds of years, how do they use it? Nobody's interested in that. They're just like, let's just get wasted. And, and they just do it. They don't even know. They think it's a kind of weed. Like people are idiots. So I don't know. I just wish there was more knowledge about it. But
in the way that you've done it, and like you've been reading about, like, is that more have to do with the ceremony of how it's done? Like it's
the
not...
ceremony, and also just the absorption, the way you absorb it. It's much, like I said, it's gradual. It's very gentle. It's not at all about, when you smoke it, it's just instantly going into your bloodstream. But yes, there is a ceremonial aspect. The rhythmic aspect of the chewing it is really interesting. It is like entrancing. It's weird. The first time I did it, like my whole jaw became like this wheel of teeth. It was bizarre. It was very weird, but very peaceful. That's the thing. Like it doesn't have to be a nightmare. That sounds freaky, but what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't have to be this, you're pulled into this thing like for, 5 minutes, and then you're out of it. It's just, I don't know. I did a whole presentation about this I took a botany class and I did a presentation about it, and a lot of people were like, they had no idea, so. Anyway.
Are the leaves, as you chew them, are those also legal in the same way that the dried stuff is? Okay, all right.
It's a gray area because they're like federally, just salvia in general is federally like kind of in a gray area, my understanding. But anyways, we need to go to the cult stuff. I'm sorry if people in the chat are getting mad at me.
Cults.
But
this is part of cults. I feel like a big part of cults is how to properly ingest drugs. That does have to do with cults.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. There's a lot of very straight edge cults, like Heaven's Gate and stuff like that, where they're just like, no substances at all. Like it's like a purity thing, I guess. But yeah, I'd say there's more of those in some ways than there are like drug cults, but I don't know. I just watched a documentary, one last thing, I know we're on lightning round, but I watched a documentary about Love Has Won. Are you familiar with that cult? I don't know if you already talked about it.
No, I don't think I am.
Okay, that one's crazy. That's the one that, okay, so this is hard to explain. There's a documentary about it on HBO, I think, or Max, whatever. Basically, this lady she did a lot of psychedelics and stuff, but she was convinced that she was like a goddess creature, and got a whole house full of people. And among other things, they were very big on the colloidal silver. I don't know if you're familiar about this.
I'm not.
But they thought that this can cure everything. It's like this elemental silver, and it turns your skin blue. So she just like slowly over the course of the cult is going crazier and crazier and turning blue. And she also died. And so the cult just mummified her. So she just becomes this blue mummy. I don't know. It's worth watching. That's all I'm trying to say.
Are her teachings like, very much based around like consuming this?
No, though they did. That was one of their things. Like they wanted you to take a ton of LSD. They were very big on LSD, and then they would also, as punishment, like if somebody did something bad to the cult, they would just dose them with a ton of LSD and then let them loose in like the Nevada desert and just get rid of them basically. Like they just ditched them. It was pretty shitty.
How do those people not die? How do you not die if you're pumped full of LSD and dumped in the desert?
I don't know. I mean, the human body's resilient, but I'm guessing they had to just come down from it before they could go home. But yeah, dehydration, I bet it's a big deal. I don't know. They did this to a few people that they just said they didn't like the vibrations of, and so they did that. They were pretty brutal. I was going to tell you the funniest thing that they cover in the documentary is that this woman claimed she had a lot of past lives, she claimed, and some of the past lives are actually present people, which is interesting. Oh. But she claimed that she was, I want to remember all the lists. She had a picture of all the life she was. She was Charlie Chaplin. She was Mr. Rogers. She was Bob Ross. She was Donald Trump. They were pro-Trump cult, cool. Which that's out of left field.
That's super cool.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's a wild one, and that one's
Mr.
recent.
Rogers
that was like a few years
Donald
ago.
Trump.
Yeah, same person. Wow.
Wow.
It's yeah, it's
Imagine
a fascinating one.
if you could pull from both of those sources, you would be the ultimate human being.
I know. Seriously, God, that's yeah. No, I would love to. I wish we could talk more. I know we're on lightning round, so I don't want to take up too much time.
Yes,
but
well,
it's always good talking to you.
Yeah, Allie, great talking to you. Thanks for calling in.
No problem.
All right, have a good one. Bye. Oh my God! See, the lightning round. Should have been doing this whole time. Get people talking fast. Yes. It makes me nervous. I have to think of something really fast.
Call from.
What? Hello?
Hello, this is Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States of America and the writer of the Declaration of Independence.
Who?
It's Legato.
Oh, Legato. Nice to hear from you. Legato, why does your phone always sound so far away? We can't hear you at all.
Does it sound better now?
That's way better. Way better.
Okay.
All right, Legato, we're talking about cults.
I was in my Bluetooth.
Oh, okay, don't do that. Look, we're talking about cults. What do you got to say about cults?
Cults. I got like a bunch of kids to pee, and one kid's drink, and we all watched him drink it. Was that a cult?
It could be. How long did it last?
It lasted like until like he was like, "Hey, it's really funny," and we were all laughing at him. And then we never told them. So I guess it's still going on.
Is it a drinking cult? I don't know.
Yeah.
Legato.
But we feed this guy beer is what I'm saying. And he has no idea to this day. That's a cult.
All right. So in your mind, that's a cult?
Yeah, because like a bunch of people, I got a bunch of people to take out their dicks in front of each other and pee in a bottle, just so that we could get a guy that we barely knew to sip a little bit of our piss and like a lot of beer.
It sounds like a cult, but was there a greater purpose? Was there a higher purpose for this? Like was he drinking the pee for a greater reason, or was it just for your simple amusement?
Well, it's like one of my friends came in and introduced him to everybody, and then they left for 2 seconds. So then I smiled, and I was really happy because I just got the idea, and I told everybody about it, and everybody followed my idea just by me saying it.
So you were like the cult leader.
Yeah, so I was a cult leader. We all had that dude drink a little bit of our pee, but we never got to tell him. Actually, the memories are flooding back to me. We were going to tell him. We didn't get to tell him. I hope he didn't get sick.
It was just
we never saw the guy again. Yeah.
That you didn't get to tell him.
Yeah.
Do you think
I get letters sometimes. It's like, I know what you did to that guy's pee. And I'm like, I don't know which one of them is actually, is that cool?
Well, I mean, like, it's a cult if you kept it going. If that was like an initiation ritual, it was like, to be our friend, you have to leave the room for a second. We're gonna just do something, and you don't know what it is, but then have a big sip of this.
It keeps going on in my mind. I'm guilty about it every day. I wish I didn't do it. That's why I called. Right. It wasn't funny.
No. All right. Well, hey, Legato, thanks for calling in and telling us about this.
Okay, I don't even know the guy's name.
All right.
He could be out there. There's a victim minute now.
All right. Thank you, Legato. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay. That was a good lightning round. We're just gonna take a quick break here. A couple songs from Bold Saber. All the Bold Saber songs that we're listening to today, you can get if you click on the link in the description of this video. It's the Bandcamp for Bold Saber. Bold Saber, if you don't know, it's Drew Langlois. Drew Langlois, who does the videos on this channel, the most popular animations, like the Shoobity Bop, is something terribly offensive, and That's a Nice Grill, and Don't Ever Look at Me, and a couple other ones also. So if you like this shit, click on that link, buy these albums. They're cheap. Do what you want. Whatever. Okay? I'll be back in a few minutes. Another lightning round coming after this. I like the lightning round. Should have been doing lightning round this whole time. Yeah. Okay.
Everybody ready? Is everybody ready to play? Thank you. We got the money. We got the piano. We got the papers. Okay. Where are those papers? This computer's been acting up. Where are those papers? The computer doesn't work. I can't think. I don't know what I'm doing. Every time I get on the bridge, I get stuck in this train coming. Every time I get on the bridge, I get stuck in this train coming. Every time I get a baby, it shits on the floor. Oh, every time I get some money, I gamble it all. Oh, every time I get a baby, it shits on the floor. Oh, every time I get that money, I gamble it all. Every time I get on the bridge, I get stuck in this train coming. Every time I get on the bridge, I get stuck in this train coming. I can't do it anymore. And every time
A bell that rings back upon itself, a sound that burns and is annoying, a beat that doesn't stop, a guess that won't shut up, obsessive compulsive disorder, a drink that burns your guts, a cycle that winds you up, regulating the feelings, the room gets smaller and bigger, clamping fingers, a tidal wave, tunnel vision, a fever pitch. Sounds get loud and hit you in the wrong way.
Have some things in your life you hang on to for years. That's pretty bad.
Obsessive compulsive disorder, paisley paper towel rolls. The pattern repeats itself over again. Copy and paste about 1,000 times.
Some of you have some things in your life you hang on to for years.
A guess that
That's
won't
pretty bad.
shut up. A drink that burns your gut. Precious memories, unseen angels, sent from somewhere to my soul. How they linger ever near me, and the sacred scenes unfold. Precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold. As I travel on life's pathway, know not what the years may hold. As I ponder, hope grows fonder, precious memories flood my soul. Precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred seeds unfold. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold.
Okay. we're back. This is going to be the final segment of the call-in show. So call in now if you haven't gotten in yet. We're doing quick calls so we can get as many callers as possible. 518-288-7938. 518-288-7938. We're talking about cults. We started talking about drugs also, but, you know, that's cult-related. We're talking about religious cults early on. Maybe now we talk about drug cults. Whatever you want. I don't care. Who's this?
Call from
Mr. Crispy.
Mr. Crispy.
Hey, how's it going?
Yo, we're talking cults today. We're doing quick calls, 5 minutes or less. So what do you got to say about cults now?
You got it. I don't know much about cults, man, but I don't know much about cults, but I got this guy here. I know a little something about him. His cult inspired like this dude or like this gang from Earthbound or whatever. They're like a Japanese cult. They're like, yeah, I can't pronounce the name in Japan because I'll butcher it, but they're called like the Supreme Truth or something.
Okay.
And
what do they do?
Oh, they did some fucked up shit. They did I got the jitters on.
It's okay.
Yeah, man. They did some like Tokyo subway attacks, man. They had some like chemicals in bags, and like they went inside the like the subways, put them underneath the chairs, bro, and they had these umbrellas. They like poked them. They poked the chemicals, and they left the subway train. So then when them chemicals came out, it was like mustard gas, dude. It made like all the people like gag up, like
oh shit.
Yeah, they pissed themselves too because like I'm not even trying to be funny. Like they poop and they pee, the boogers come out.
Why?
It's like because the chemicals, dude. It like
no. Why did they chemically attack the subway goers?
I don't know, actually. Let me get the plays right here. The attack evidently backfired, and they conducted huge raids. So, like, I don't know, someone tipped them off. I wish I knew more about it. But
dude,
like,
what do they want? What's the goal? What's the cult goal?
Oh yeah, actually, so like, they all worship this dude called like Shoko Asahara, and he's like pretty much seen as like, you know, Jesus to them basically. There was even like an animation of him, crazy enough, like where he's like
an anime.
He's like, there was like a segment with him in an anime. I saw it on YouTube, and it wasn't like fan made or nothing. And he basically like he levitates out of his like home or whatever and goes flying. He's like astral projecting. So like their shit's about like spirituality and shit, like new Christians or whatever. Like yeah, it's like a form of Christianity and like Buddhism mixed.
That's horrible.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, so they were just having their own fun culty time, and then they're like, well, this isn't fun enough. We're bored. Let's chemically attack the subway goers.
I think what they wanted to do was like have it so it's like Japan only has their people, because they had a shit ton of people. Like if we get rid of like the normal people, we'll be like there'll be more of us and less of them. But that's just my assumption.
Yeah, Japan does. They're like that though. What? Huh?
How long have I been talking? I don't want to take
3
up
minutes.
more
You got 2 minutes
time.
left. 2 minutes.
Oh shit! All right. So, oh man, all them Jews are at me now. I just smoked a bowl. Sorry about that, bro. Anyway,
Are you in a cult, bro? Did someone in a cult make you smoke that bowl? Be honest.
It may or may not be the cult that Jared Leto's in, but you didn't hear that from me.
Oh shit, dude.
Yeah. Dude.
How can we trust a word you're saying if you're in Jared Leto's cult?
Because he's the Joker, baby. You can trust the Joker.
No way, dude. I gotta let you go. Thanks for calling in, though. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, bye. Dude, Jared Leto's got a cult? Oh, I should have asked that guy about that. Oh, that only occurs to me after I've already hung up. What's Jared Leto's cult like? He's the singer of that band, right? What's that band? What's the song? What's that 30 Seconds to Mars song that Jared Leto sings? I can't remember it either. Yeah. All right.
Call from
Peter.
Peter, what's up? We're talking about cults.
Hey, how's it going? I just wanted to talk about a cult I was part of for 10 years.
Oh.
So I just recently got out of it. Pretty much, it's a cult within a brotherhood in the federal government.
Oh.
So I was in the Marine Corps for 10 years, and I just got out, like, I want to say 8 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so the brotherhood aspect of it and everything is amazing and everything, but there's some guys that, some groups that drink too much of the Kool-Aid. And what ends up happening is that you have people, like, doing these crazy, like, not rituals, but ceremonies and stuff to make people feel bad and guilting people to stay in and stuff. For example, I got to the rank of gunnery sergeant pretty quick for 10 years.
Huh?
But I decided not to re-enlist because I got offered a job to be a locomotive machinist. And it paid way better, and I just wanted to get out of the military. But when I said no to the the re-enlistment officer, he pretty much just told me to, like, go away, you know, because I said no to him. So they had like the whole unit stand out outside of the headquarters, turn their backs to me. And when I picked up my DD-214, and they turned their backs to me and everything, they made like a big spectacle out of it. But it's just like so many things that happen within the military, like the Marine Corps itself. There's people that threaten, like, their younger Marines and stuff, like their junior Marines. They threaten physical violence or any sort of threat, telling them, hey, you better stay in. It sucks out there. You won't get a job that pays as well, gives you as much time off. They just try to feed you so many lies.
This is like a specific group inside the military, or is this just the military, how it works?
No, so it's like the Marine Corps itself has the brotherhood, is a brotherhood, but you have people on the inside that start their own little, like it's a cult. Everybody knows it's like a cult. Everybody says it's a cult, but like the ones that really do drink the Kool-Aid are the ones that are like, you know, they go far into the left. They're crazy about stuff, you know. They'll threaten violence, they'll haze dudes and stuff like that. I was part of many investigations where I had to, like, watch out for people and, like, you know, like be a witness and stuff like that, or part of a jury or a court-martial's, like, summary and up to a general court-martial, because some people are going way into it, like beating the crap out of their Marines just because they refused to stay in after their time was up.
Were you like a part of this because you were rising the ranks so fast, or was like, are people excluded from what you're talking about, or is this what everyone is gathered into?
So it's everybody into it, but once you start rising through the ranks, you see it more. Once you become a non-commissioned officer, even when I became a staff NCO, staff non-commissioned officer, it's a big thing that happens. For example,
they don't want people to leave.
Yeah, they don't want people to leave. They want to retain you, and they try to get people to drink as much Kool-Aid as they can when it comes to dealing with all this sort of stuff. Like, it's pretty freaky. I've met some great people that just totally think of it as a job and they love America and everything. They're patriots, but then you have some people that are truly deranged. For example, there is a.
They're going for their own personal gain, or what? Yeah, sorry. What do you mean?
No, like, it's like a cult. They'll just try to keep people in by force. For example, there was a what's it called? So I don't know how to explain the situation, but pretty much there was a corporal. He had been in for 4 years. He was getting out. And what ended up happening was that there was a bunch of people in his shop that tried to kind of like coerce him into putting a re-enlistment package in. And then when he said he didn't want to do that, they pretty much forced him to go down to the headquarters, submit one. And then when he had to sign yes or no on it, when he got it back a week later, the package, they told him, hey, either you sign it, like, you know, they didn't say anything to him specifically, but, you know, you got 6, 7 big dudes standing behind you and stuff, and they're, you know, they told you to re-enlist and stuff. They didn't. I mean, you're not really going to argue with them, you know? And
what do you think?
It made like a whole big stink.
What do you think is like the motivation there? It's just like, we really like you. We don't want you to leave because, you know, we love having you as part of the military. Or is it something else? Like, what's the motivation behind people like forcing you to stay involved?
So it's like what you said. It's like they really like you and stuff. They'll, you know, I don't know if they really do like you and stuff, but they see the numbers. They see that you're really good physically fit. You got good numbers when it comes to rifle range and a bunch of other stuff. You got certificates, but, you know, they'll constantly be like, you know, love bombing you. They're like, oh no, dude, everybody loves you at the unit. Stay in. Come on, brother. You're not going to be able to make it out there. Come on. You know how many homeless vets there are out there and stuff? You're not going to be able to make it. Yeah. You're too old to go to college, man. Why use the GI Bill? You're 25 already? Forget about it. Might as well stay and do 20.
Dude, you're 25. Yeah, that's like as old as you can get.
Yeah, and they're like, nah, forget about it. Don't go to college. Don't do anything else. Just you're wasting your time and stuff. And there's been court martials that have been happening just due to the fact that, there's a lot of like hazing coercions going on where they're like trying to force people to stay in and stuff. And now these people are kind of just blowing the whistle.
How do you get out of that where it seems like the general feeling of the military is to be part of this larger thing, and it's like your individualism is maybe not the top priority. It's like serving this greater good. So how does one individual manage to break free from that?
It depends on what you witness and stuff. For example, I was stationed in Japan for 3 years and stuff. I've been watching your show for like the past 3 years when I could catch it, like when you upload it, because I can never catch it live till now. I'm back in America. But a big way you get out of this is just like through witness experiences. For example, when I was in Okinawa, Japan, we were deployed during COVID to go do humanitarian help in India. And a lot of people were dying and stuff. We were hoping the best we could and stuff. This is before the vaccine. So 3 weeks into being in India, they pretty much were like, hey, pack your stuff up, guys, and we're going to quarantine you when you get back to Japan. No, there's no point in risking you guys, even though we had been out there for 3 weeks helping and stuff. I saw a lot of people, like families torn apart pretty much, that they'd show up at the gates and stuff, trying to ask for medical support or people to take the bodies from their loved ones because there's just so many people dying. And then fast forward a year, I ended up in Camp Pendleton, new unit, everything. And we got sent out to when the Kabul response happened, the airlift. And when we were out there and stuff, just like the blatant mishandling of everything that happened, I was just so tired of it. A lot of things happened before throughout my 10 years, but after that, I got so tired of it that I was like, no, I'm getting out. I just want to grow my hair out, grow a beard out, not get yelled at by anybody that's not have my Marines get yelled at, because I didn't get yelled at anymore. Been 10 years and stuff. I'm the one that pretty much does the talk stuff, but you don't have to yell at people. But there's some people that think that the way to get to everybody is just by screaming at them and destroying every single ounce of individuality they have in them.
So you reached a point where you'd seen enough and you'd sort of realized that you couldn't just blindly trust the higher ups in every situation.
No, when I was over there, there's a lot of things that went wrong, and we were betrayed at every level. Yet they keep, pushing that we're brothers, that, we got each other's backs and this and that. Now, the only people that had my backs were my close friends when I was in the Marine Corps, and that's about it. Everybody else is out to get you, man. They're out to get you, but then at the same time, they're trying to keep you in that same brotherhood. They called it the fraternity. I forgot what it's called, but they have coins they print out and stuff, and they tell you you're joining a certain fraternization or fraternize and stuff. It's some crazy stuff. It's not everywhere in the Marine Corps per se, but it was very big in smaller bases and stuff like that, and at some units.
So as someone who's gone through it all, and you've had an extended period of time where you're going through the military, is there advice you would give to someone who is a really young guy, 18 or something, and they're thinking about joining the military? Do you say that there are benefits and that you just have to keep track of this other stuff, or would you say don't do it at all?
I worked with airmen. I'm telling you, go Air Force or you're going to enlist in something. If you have to or want to, go Air Force, man. Who cares about the title? I'm proud of it, but it's been corrupted. It's been eroded long ago by by people before me and stuff. They've just destroyed whatever it means, and it's very messed up.
What about the Air Force? What about the Air Force? What about the Air Force is better, I guess?
They treat you like a person. I've seen how they just help their people out and stuff like that. So I was stationed on the Air Force Base at one point as an instructor, and I was teaching classes of sailors, Marines, and airmen and stuff because it was a joint base. The airmen would get treated better. They had every second Friday, they had a thing called Down Fridays. They got that Friday off. The Marines, guess what they do? They would take them to either the base movie theater and they'd start playing
like documentaries about why you should love the Marine Corps and this and that, and you join the greater thing. I get it, but they would do that every single second Friday off. Meanwhile, you'd be there from like 7 a.m. till like 5 in the afternoon doing that till they release you for the weekend. Meanwhile, the airmen been enjoying their whole Friday off, their 3-day weekend.
Damn. All right. Well, hey, thank you for calling in, dude. Good to hear from you.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you.
Bye. Nice. That's an interesting one. Cult of the military. There's whoa, some weird shit going on in there. The Brotherhood, dude. You could see that working with people. They don't have anything at home. The Brotherhood of the military would be a big thing for them, but that's that's the sort of thing you can imagine with any cult. Less people you have available to you.
Thomas.
See that?
Thomas.
What's up, Mr. Minute?
Yo, we're talking cults.
Shit. Okay, so a long time ago, this is maybe like 7-8 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
I joined this like life improvement cult for so what happened is I just dropped out of college, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking for some guidance in my life, and this dude that I know kind of through some other figure reaches out to me, and he's like, yo, there's this retreat, this group, they changed my life. The group is called Next Level Trainings. I'm just gonna dox them because they still exist, I'm pretty sure. And so I was like, okay, I'm a dumb 19-year-old, I'm trying not to, I dropped out of college, so I'm I need to not be a bum, and so I go to this 3-day retreat in Philadelphia, and I'm immediately getting very cultish vibes when I'm there, this first retreat. And it's sort of a life improvement. It's 3 8-hour days of just them talking with you and exercises in a group. One of the exercises was I'm trying to think. Everybody was posted up in a big circle, shoulder to shoulder, and then 5 people would go around the circle and they'd have to go one by one and say basically the worst thing that they could say to the person in front of them.
Oh, God.
Basically a lot of very emotionally taxing exercises. There was one that I remember where there was 7 groups of 10 people. And you got to understand, I'm a 19-year-old. I'm very cynical and emotionless at this point, but the amount that I was emotionally abused. So you would go around to these groups of 7 by yourself, and you would tell them something something about your life, that was supposed to be a deep dark secret that you had, and then if the group believed you or believed that you were digging in the deepest darkest recesses of your mind, they would nod, or they would say no, you're not actually here with us, you're not revealing enough of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go up to the first people, and this is 3 days in, so I'm fucked up already, and I tell them something, and then they nod no, and I'm fuck, God, I'm trying here, I think. I go to the second group of people, and no, and then I just start crying in this moment because I feel so emotionally ravaged. And then I can't even remember what I said to the third group, but I think because I was crying, they finally nodded yes, and I felt accepted by this group of people. Regardless,
it's the whole goal the whole goal is to break you down. I mean, that sounds logical in a sense. He's crying, we've won. Yes, you're doing the right thing.
That's exactly what it was. And then at the end of the 3 days of emotional torment, they sit you down and they're hey, they've basically raised your critical thinking faculties at this point. So they sit you down and they're hey, there's another 3-day retreat in 2 weeks, and you can be on the next level of this next level trainings, or a higher level, it's really fucking dumb. And I
was at first like, this is a cult, like day 1 and 2, this is dumb, I don't want to be a part of this. And then I like, by the end, I'm like, okay, they made me cry. I like haven't emotionally been able to feel a thing since I was like 13 because I was like a cynical asshole of a teenager. And I was like, maybe there's something to this, you know, like, but like I can sense that it's a cult, but you know, maybe I can get something from this, you know, and also like have the wherewithal to like stay out of it. And then I go to the second retreat, and like each retreat, it like costs a little more money to go. And that's the whole racket. I mean, obviously it's like they're just charging like 18 to 24-year-olds money to, I don't know, emotionally abuse them, and then
And you can
be
feel
this
like
is life improvement.
like they pulled something
What?
out of you that other people couldn't have. It's like they made me cry. They broke me down. Like maybe I should take this to the next level and see where it leads.
Right, exactly. And like a lot of other, like, you know, it was like people like trying to better their lives, like, oh, this is good for like networking and yada, 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 all this shit. And I was like, whatever, like, let me see what this is about. And then I go to the second one and experience a lot more emotional abuse that's like more intense. Like I remember at the beginning of the second one, they were like, okay, so I think they made me sign an NDA. And which doesn't matter because I'll out everything about these like group of criminals. But like, I just remember there's one at the end where I forget what happened, what the whole exercise was, but I just remember being like lifted up by a group of people like on my back, and they're like, oh my God, like you're so like, you're loved, you're fucking, you know, this and that and the other thing. Like validating you. Yeah. And I think when you're at the edge of your sort of emotional rope, like these words finally, like you're letting them in without any critical thinking. So these people have the capability to make you feel really good and really bad about yourself, sort of at their whim. And right at the end, of course, is when they make you feel really good about yourself and you're glowing. And that's when they hit you with the upsell.
Right.
I guess
like
to
don't let
close
this
out
die right here. Like you can keep it going. We can make you feel even better with our next session.
Yes. But basically, at the end of it all, the thing that freaked me out the most was that like they broke me down so much emotionally that I was like fully bought in. Like I went from like, oh, maybe this is a cult to like, no, this is actually, this is it. This is like, I trust these people with my life. And, you know, it was a sort of serendipitous thing where I like had to drive this dude home to New Jersey, and on the fucking drive home, he was like, no, dude, that's a cult. And I was like, no, what are you talking about? And for the whole drive home, we just like argued about it. And then he sent me an article the next morning about like 13 signs you might be in a cult. It might have been a fucking BuzzFeed article for all I know. But, I just remember reading it, and like every single one was like, oh, fuck. And then I sort of snapped out of it.
So do you think that like, is there any kind of benefit of like being able to start into something like this and then also remove yourself from it? Like, it seems like that seems like the problem with the cult is like people being in a cult, and then it's like, they think that's how their life needs to be forever. Like they need to just constantly be feeding into this community. But if you're getting like something positive out of it, and then you can also remove yourself from it, maybe that's an overall benefit.
I think it's too much of a risk. You know, I think like that's how I felt about it. And I've considered myself a smart guy. Obviously I was like 19, so I was a fucking idiot, but you know, I think these people, they're not coming after your critical thinking. They're coming after your like emotions, and that's where they wear you down. And so by the end of this time, like you're not using your critical thinking to assess if I'm in a cult anymore. And I think that's where they fuck you. So I think it's like, if you get the sensation that you're in a cult at all, you should hightail it out of there.
Especially, you know, if in your situation, like, you're getting the upsell after every event or something that's going on. At the end of it, you're being told like, and also if you pay us more continuously, we'll keep making you feel better and better. Like that seems to be like that's the problem.
Right, exactly. I think, yeah. At bottom, the people at the top are like bad people that are like, it's a racket,
Right.
So they can't be trusted.
All right, Thomas, thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir.
Good to hear from you. All right, bye. Nice. 518-288-7938. We're talking Colts. We're going to do the last call or two here at the end, and then that'll be it for the stream today. Just so everyone knows, I don't lead a cult. I'm not a cult leader. That's obvious. I mean, obviously, on the other hand, you could subscribe to my Patreon. You could pay me money for nothing in particular. I'm not going to make you feel better about yourself. If I do, that's entirely accidental. Who's
Call
this?
from.
Jeff.
Hey, what's up, man?
Dude, Jeff, we're talking about cults today. What do you have to say about cults?
Well, I studied with the Jehovah's Witnesses for a long time. I still do, and
You still do?
They're pretty culty, I think. They have this practice of disfellowshipping, they call it, it's shunning, where if you do anything that's kind of a no-no, they will no longer associate with you. And I know one of the elders in the congregation, he doesn't even talk to his daughter. He won't even take her phone calls.
If you're going against the rules and regulations of the cult?
Yeah, they're Christians. They read the same Bible that other Christians do, but they have a lot of rules that distinguish them from other sects of Christianity. And I don't think I'll ever be an official member. They're a little culty.
You're not an official member? You're just a casual Jehovah's Witness?
I'm a Bible student. I study the Bible with them. But I think they're right about all the teachings in the Bible, like all the high holidays of the Christians. They're actually pagan inspired. So that is not pleasing to God, and we shouldn't celebrate birthdays. It's a big one. The Trinity is pagan inspired. That upsets a lot of Christians when you talk about the Trinity like that.
Well, explain the birthday one to me, because I also hate birthdays, but I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know any of the stuff there. Tell me what that doctrine is.
So what's interesting is all of their teachings they use scripture to back it up. So they say, well, the only time birthdays are mentioned in the Bible is some king is having a birthday party and some loyal servants of God gets beheaded at it. Like John the Baptist, he was beheaded at some king's birthday party. There's two other birthdays in the Bible, and it's always some king throwing a big bash, and some loyal servants of God gets his head chopped off. So they conclude that one should not celebrate birthdays at all.
You agree with that?
I have children. I have young children, and I celebrate their birthdays because I want them to be quote unquote normal. But I don't do anything for my birthday.
Yeah. But so is that?
I'm a weird fence sitter on this situation because I think they're right about the Bible. I think they have the truth about the Bible, but I'm not committing. I'm not committing to it. So what a weird fence sitter I am.
That is weird. I mean, if you believe it, why not? Go with it.
Because I'd never shun my family for not believing the same things that I believe in.
I see.
I stick to my family. They're as important to me as my relationship with the Most High.
Is that something? Did you feel more impassioned about these religious points of views before you had a family, and having a family made you mellow out, or what would be your? How would you describe that situation?
I wasn't raised with any religion at all, and they were in the neighborhood. They go around knocking on doors. It's like their main thing to knock on doors, preaching the gospel, and it appealed to me, and I sleep better. And I used to stay up at night with existential dread and all that. And now that I kind of understand the way the universe works from a biblical point of view, I sleep like a baby.
In the sense that like you feel like you're a decent guy who's aiding the world, or what is it that makes you feel like more at peace with the world?
I definitely feel like there is a creator, and it's his truth is in the Bible. But me, I am not a good guy. I'm just a common sinner, and not fully committing to things that I think are true is kind of nagging at me.
Do you feel like
that makes it like the fence sitter thing? I'm sitting on the fence. What am I waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, well, just to clarify, I don't know what the heck anybody should do, so I'm not coming from a place of judgment at all. But what is it that do you think that people are doing the wrong things that can be corrected, or is it some sort of like eternal struggle that like people are going to have to deal with right and wrong? Is it how do you sleep well at night, like thinking that you are a sinner? Like, explain that part to me.
Oh, well, just knowing that God is forgiving. He forgives us for our sins. We can never be good. We can never be holy in his eyes. We're imperfect. We're born with sin is inherited from our original parents, Adam and Eve, right?
But
so we can never be good.
Is there a thing that we should be doing, that we should be striving for?
Praising God, trying to live closer to God's standards. We should hold him as the Most High and praise him, thank him, and beg for forgiveness.
And that has to do with teachings that you've learned from the Bible?
Right, yes.
But it's
the
not
same Bible that all the other Christians read. They just got a wildly different interpretation of it.
So what do you see then as evil? If you are a fallible human being who is going to sin, what would you see as something that is like intentionally evil, or like living the wrong way? How do you think of that, like with other people?
Intentionally going along with Satan's world. This whole world belongs to Satan. We know that from the third temptation of Christ. After he was baptized, the devil came to him and tempted him. And the devil showed him all the kingdoms of the world, said this all could be yours. So we can intuit then that the whole world is under Satan's control.
Like society, how society tells us to be.
Right. That's all designed by Satan to turn us away from God.
So what do you do then personally to remove yourself from that situation? Because you have to live in society, obviously, and so what's your antidote for that?
A man must provide for his family. A man must try and remain politically neutral, because then you're taking sides with Satan, whether you're left or right, or what a communist or anarcho-capital, whatever. You're taking Satan's side when you're a political activist. So you got to take care of your family, and you got to preach the word of God to people, tell people about Jehovah.
But so you wouldn't personally believe in, like, well, so you're talking about preaching the word of God, but would you personally like condemn others who are not living that, or how does it work with you've got the whole world against you, it sounds like, and so how do you talk to the world? How do you interact with the world in a way that isn't just making you the antagonist or them the antagonist? Like,
you have to set a good, loving example by being a good provider for your family, being kind and compassionate, and what's the word that they say? Meek. You have to be meek.
Yeah. All right, and you feel like you're doing that?
Not really.
That is meek.
Well, yeah, I'm not out there preaching the gospel to people. I should be out there.
Is that something you feel like it's something you're not doing? Like, is it, do you feel guilty about not going door to door and talking to people about it?
No, I don't live up to the standards of Jehovah's Witnesses yet, so I feel like I'm kind of justified in my description of them being cultish, because they won't let me go door to door until I'm up to their standards, you know. And they don't associate with anybody outside of the JW, so they're very culty. I'd call them culty. I don't know if they are a cult, but the idea behind that.
Mm-hmm.
The idea behind it is to protect the good Christians from negative influences, because they say not the iron sharpens iron thing, which I heard in chat earlier. They say bad associations spoil useful habits. That's from Proverbs or something. All their teaching, they'll quote a Bible verse, say why they believe in that. It's very interesting.
When it comes to your children, they're probably young right now, right?
Yeah, I got 9-year-old twin boys. They're here playing Roblox.
Yeah, I can hear them a little bit. And so, if they were, if you felt like they were accepting more of what society gives them versus what this religious teaching gives them, like, what would be your reaction to that?
I want them to have a happy life. I don't care if they become religious or not. They go to a Lutheran school. Their mother's side of the family pays for that. So I can't really push my beliefs on them too heavily. They'll probably have problems with their school if I do. Talking about the Trinity and all. The Lutherans love their Trinity. Yeah. I don't want to get them in trouble at school. I make them read the Bible with me and read Bible stories.
Yeah.
But they don't seem particularly averse to that.
Yeah. So it's not like in your mind like something that's like a specific doctrine of control, like making someone believe what you believe. It's a little more freeform than that.
Well, once you're in, imagine your whole world is just people inside the institution, and imagine you do something against that, and now nobody's talking to you anymore. You're completely isolated, completely ostracized. That's a cult tactic. That's like textbook cult tactics, the shunning that they do. They make you shun your own family members. They won't talk to you.
But is there a point there of like it could go either way, where it's like if your child is not adhering to your beliefs, that's one thing that could lead to shunning. But if your child is going to reject society, then society will shun them as well.
Well, you don't reject society when you become a Jehovah's Witness Christian.
No.
You still live in society, but like the associations you choose, the entertainment you choose, it's got to all be within the JW institution.
But there's something there about like it being outside the norm. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. It's saying that like as a child that's growing up, like to be outside the norm is to reject a large group of people and to have them view you as being weird or something.
I might have always felt that way, because I've kind of always been like a counterculture kind of punk or something.
Yeah.
And as I got older, I became pretty vanilla.
Oh yeah, but you're not that vanilla. I mean, you're a pretty specific guy. It seems like.
No, man, we pee in bottles and stuff and share them with everybody. That's from the chat. I think.
All right, nice. All right, thank you for calling in, dude.
Lightning round. Adios.
Yeah. All right, good to hear from you. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I think that's gonna be it. That was the call-in show today. We did. That was a solid 3 hours. You know, if I do any more, the lightning round was already starting to fail us. But next time, lightning round the whole time. You know, till the third hour at least. Thanks for everyone for calling in. Great talking to everybody. We were talking about cults today. That was fun. We talked about a few different things, Mormons, a lot of New Age type cults, internet type cults. It's good to hear about. I don't know anything about these people. The music from the stream has all been from Bold Saber. which is Drew Langlois. Drew Langlois does all the popular animations on this channel. The Shoobity Bop, Something Terribly Offensive, That's a Nice Grill, Don't Ever Look at Me. That's all Drew Langlois. He's a very talented artist, animator. He's got his own YouTube channel. But this music that we've been listening to all in this stream has all been from Drew Langlois under his music name Bold Saber. We're going to listen to one last song, an old classic of Drew Langlois, and then we will be calling it quits. Thanks, everyone, for calling in tonight. Good talking to you. We'll be back in a week or so talking about something else. All right, have a good night.
It ain't carrots, it ain't peas, it ain't the kippers in the salted grease. You just opened up a great big can of whoop ass. It ain't condensed milk or soup. It ain't the peaches in the syrup goop. You just opened up a great big can of whoop ass. Oh my dear, it's very clear that you did something wrong. So it's time to pay for your crime with punishment and this song. It ain't gravy or clams. It ain't the salmon or the processed hams. You just opened up a great big can of whoop ass. You just opened up a great big can of whoop ass.